Now you're ready to start.
Oh my god, what the hell?
Counting down from 3.
Welcome back to another episode of Seinfeld. Today...
Can you stop it with the Snark Tank references?
That wasn't...
Well, isn't it a reference just calling it something else? You explained the reference before. You've given it up, Harry.
The reference...
I'm raised to it now.
Well, that wasn't actually direct. I guess the bit itself is a reference, I suppose. Yeah. I'll grant you such a thing. Another bit that we do every week is... No, I can't be honest.
Honestly, the bit is that we say that's the bit we do, but we haven't done that in a while, and I'd like to keep it that way. I don't like trying new things.
I've got a book here. I'm gonna eat.
Okay, good. Gain some knowledge. Consume the scriptures.
Girls go to college to get more knowledge. Boys go to
Hoxies.
Boys go to Hoxies to get more rock poxies.
Yeah. Smooth.
That was not smooth.
Girls can also go to Hoxies. We're not just not girl dwarves apparently.
Girls can also go to Hoxies. You can also go to the comment section and leave a comment for us to read on the show.
At some point, we are not going to claim any frequency to this, but today, as you probably gather by like thumbnail on that, right?
Oh yeah.
We are here
to read your comments. Talking about
us. We're going to be breaking down your face.
Can be breaking down.
And I have no idea what type of comments they are. Harry has collected them of his own free tuition.
We should just do like P-Hub comments.
I don't think we should do that. I think it's the best we do not do that. I think
that's what a pussy would say.
Correct. And I imagine that's a comment on that hub.
On that hub.
Yeah. Word we could not say without screwing over this whole last episode. Not that it's monetized anyway, but I mean, but it is.
Did we swear during the first 15 seconds? If we didn't, then it's fine. Yeah,
I mean, I'd like to not swear as often, just generally. But it's hard when it just comes out without thinking. Like it's just what it is. It's just like saying words.
Let's see. I don't think we've sworn in this podcast yet, and let's not. And every time that we do, you have to put a penny in the jar.
Wow.
The Barrel swear jar. Speaking of that, I've got a jar of comments. Imagine if I had like an actual jar and I printed everything out. It was just a lucky dip.
Hey.
What?
You just said the F word.
Did I?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
An effing jar. Oh,
there you go. That's strike one. Hold on. Let me find a pen. Oh, a penny. This is actually an interesting penny. It's got that dude on it.
I don't think that's ever been said, at least by anyone under the age of like 17.
Of course it has.
Actually, there was Matthew.
I've seen plenty of interesting pennies. What you think that's not even possible? You've never seen a fascinating schmeckle. You've never seen an intriguing crony. You've never seen a
woman's touch. Harry, have you ever seen some women's?
Have I ever seen a woman's touch? I don't think I have.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we're going to talk about your comments. I don't know what they're about. Like, I don't know if they're going to be insulting us and we're going to be crying by the end of this.
But we don't get hate comments. We don't get enough comments to get hate comments.
Yeah, we got a lot more hate comments back in the days where we didn't give people reasons to have hate comments. Like, people was just, when we were new, they were like, I don't particularly like you or what you do.
I don't remember anything like that. That's horrible.
Yeah. There was this guy that basically said that you guys making random stupid noises is incredibly infuriating. And from then on, I've actively tried to not make us do that.
So
but you and Tom have continued to do it. Unrelenting.
See, Tyler can't hear the fact that I'm doing stupid noises right now because
that actually clipped so hard. It just sounded like I heard a little bit at the beginning.
They heard though.
I know they would hear, and I feel sorry for them. I am the luckiest person here.
You're the what?
I didn't have to hear that.
Oh yeah, you're the luckiest person here.
What is this? Is this going to be like our audience's hot takes?
Oh god, no, Tyler. We don't get enough comments for me to be picky.
You're right. Just anything that has some meat to it.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, that is exactly the criteria. It's anything with a bit meat. That's the only category. It's not a category. It's just comments that are worth reading at all.
Yeah.
We don't have enough split categories like here a take. Here's your hot take. Here's an idea. Here's a hate comment. Here's a compliment. We don't get those either. Actually, that's not entirely true. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we got new people. They see I love you guys. Thanks for the content. Yeah, that's always cool.
Oh, it is actually. It's really fucking cool.
Yeah, because I always get the notifications on my phone, from the YouTube app, and it's I just see a comment saying, "Great vid, guys. Thanks for this," and I'm like, "Okay, cool. I guess my day's just better now." That's just okay. That's interesting.
Makes my day worse. I thrive off hate. I hate it when I see people being nice to us.
How dare you make us feel good about ourselves? We suck.
We suck. We suck. Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think we're going to be doing this again at least anytime soon.
Actually, maybe. Well, okay, not anytime. I don't want to do it anytime soon. I'm just saying this is actually. I think all of these are at least 2 weeks old, and I think we've gotten some decent comments since then. But that's good. We can just build up more and more whenever we need them. The original idea was that this would be a segment of the podcast, but I've realised that it's just not needed. We just never end up needing to fill time if we've already got something. It just doesn't happen.
And we often dip into the well of season update, that kind of malarkey, before we dip into the well of comments.
If we ever need, and it's not literally it's not like it's a very strict. Or it's not a very high bar. I don't know. The minimum time that we need to hit is not very high. And I guess Tyler probably didn't even know that there's a minimum. Isn't
it 1 hour 20? Isn't that what you want?
1 hour 15.
Yeah, that's basically
an hour and a quarter. Because I feel like an hour is podcasts should be longer than most TV episodes, right? Podcast should be a relatively extended period of time. Or people just talk.
Should be
beyond not necessarily the length of a movie necessarily, but also, it needs to be long enough that it doesn't feel cut off early. And I feel like you need to go at least a quarter of an hour over an hour to feel like it's taking up a significant portion of time.
Yeah, and I think it's got to be long enough to where you can put it on for something that you know is going to take a while, and it still be going until the end, around then, right? If you've got a bit of a car journey on the way, or you've got a lot of washing up to do, or something like that, right? Just knowing that, because this is why I watch. I don't really listen to podcasts.
In the car. You just give them directions.
Yeah.
Turn left now. Bear left.
Yeah. You can actually, there is actually sat-nav apps where you can voice your own ones. My uncle did that once while we were in the car. And every time the sat-nav told us to go somewhere, he'd turn around and look at us and smile. And it took too long to realise it was his voice. So it really weirded us out. We're not noticing it.
Every time the sat-nav went on, we just cracked a smile. And looked at you, and it's and no one understood.
Eventually, it was what do you like my new sat-nav sound? And they were like, I guess.
Sure, it sounds pretty normal.
So basically, I don't know, that would be a $5 thing. If you want us to, I don't know, get you to crash into a wall or something, where we just if you're your go left we just say go right. We say the exact opposite thing that it wants for each thing. But yeah, point is, what I was going to say, and I think we moved on from, but just maybe if you want your comments to be mentioned whenever we do the next one, maybe leave your meatiest, fattiest hot take
I hated that. What the fuck was that? Why did you use those words?
Juiciest, wettest, veiniest.
I've got to say, I cannot stand I think the most obnoxious way of referring to one's member is like hog. I hate my hog. Really?
Their phallus, a hog.
My fair hog. I put my hog on the table and cut it into pieces. That video is real.
Titanium
much like,
but yeah,
I do have this. Have you seen? There's this Twitter account that's it's called like Still Bar like 2x8 or something, and it's just all they do is they just post a sound effect of a steel bar being dropped on the ground everywhere they can, in every comment section they can.
Some people just use the internet for just chaos.
It's chaos. In my opinion, chaos is more benevolent than malevolent. I guess because chaos is neutral. So yeah, I don't know if that makes it more benevolent. It's just less malevolent, I guess, than malevolence. But it's neither one. I suppose.
There's no movie about
that's Maleficent. What about beneficent?
No one tells the story of Beneficent.
I wonder why. It sounds dumb as fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know what else sounds dumb as fuck? All of these comments.
All right, shall we start the first one?
Yeah, starting with this is from podcast 35 from Haunt Charged. I don't know what podcast 35 is.
I thought podcast 35 was his name.
You're going to be really confused. It's like this one from Dev Q&A November. This guy's name is the Satchel Charge was born for this. That's brilliant. Right. Anyway, so from podcast 35, I don't know what that is. I should probably check what podcast that is.
It'll probably help us thingy, but I know Haunted Charge. Haunted Charge is quite a common commenter. Well, yeah, that's the one.
Oh, it's the wish list. Right, that one was. I can't remember if that was actually depressing or not. Either way, he did. It's actually. He also got. We got timestamp for the comment as well. It's at 2 hours 1 minute 16 seconds. So if you want to, you could find what we said.
I'll whip out my laptop. I love my laptop.
He says the overclock I want most is for them to revert Stubby's EM discharge to work on unbuilt turrets. Now this is a very simple comment, arguably calling out Ghost Ship a little bit. So turret EM discharge is for Les Stubby, and you shoot your turret and it makes a big electrical explosion. Basically, it used to work where if you'd already constructed your turrets, you could trigger the effect on an unbuilt turret. You have to build them first at some point in the mission, but after that point, you don't have to build them. You just have to put them down. It's just a little pad that it comes out of. You can produce the effect with that. And they reverted that a while ago, which obviously was I think it wasn't disguised as like an indirect nerf. It was definitely a nerf for EM discharge, turret EM discharge. But it definitely made it. It definitely hindered it. But turret EM discharge is still one of the best overclocks in the Stubby. And I'd argue that I'd want them to revert that change, but add it to turret arc as well. Because frankly, that's probably the worst thing about turret arc is that you have to build the turrets every time. And if there was just well, I mean, I kind of want turret arc to be reworked in general, but either way, I shouldn't be able to hear that.
Yeah, I didn't expect you to hear it either, but I'm getting there. I've just been rifling around. By the way, this podcast has a lot of comments.
Okay, that's good.
A lot more than normal. Like there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Is that it? We've been getting 8 comments on a lot of stuff recently.
Have we?
Yeah, like the last video has got 8 comments on it. And the most recent podcast as well. Yeah. That's interesting, isn't it? Actually, that wasn't it. He also said that he's not been playing the game nor staying up with the conversation surrounding it. Regardless, it's always good to hear you guys talk about it. Well, I mean, I doubt that made you want to play it anymore, that episode. So I'll actually apologise for that. But either way, I mean, it's I guess it's interesting. You kind of have to be a specific person for the thing that you want them, or the overclock change that you want the most is, or just anything overclock. The thing you want the most to be reverting the change they made to turret EM discharge, even though it's still quite strong. So that's what you've hooked onto. You want nothing else other than that to be reverted because that was your shit. When it worked like that, when it was like when you could just cheese things with it, that was like your go-to. That's what you did all the time, and now it's gone, and you're just you're just wallowing until it returns. I can't really think of anything else that applies to though. You know, like I guess anyone who's obsessed with how the breach cutter used to be
with EPC.
Oh, yeah, that's one. That's a good one.
I loved using it, and in all fairness, I didn't even notice they removed it for a very long time. But that's kind of because I didn't play a lot then.
I guess that is an interesting discussion though. Things that have been changed, that have been changes made to things that were already in the game that we kind of things that we want to come things that we want to come back is actually an interesting discussion. Although I'm not sure how many things there are.
I couldn't do much.
For me,
on that.
It would be Hurricane, where it used to the napalm rounds used to be overpowered. It's currently. It converts 33% of your damage to heat and fire damage, I think. It's both. But basically, what it used to do, it just added 50% as heat instead.
I can't believe they thought that was a good idea.
And it's a conversion. It used to do it as plus 50%. That's what the boomstick has, basically. But now it's a bit of a middle ground, and it was really, really broken because you had, like, you could set grunts on fire with 2 shots, but you also had your full AoE, so that's all it took, 2 shots to kill a grunt, and that means a lot of grunts because you have splash damage, and it was crazy. It's like, this feels ridiculous, and I kind of want them to change that. I want them to go even further. Well, first of all, we want it to be just a completely different status effect, but I want it to be more like just the PGL. It just makes more sense, I think. You know, just make it 50% straight up. It's sort of being hurt. It's the breakpoints that it hits are quite annoying as it stands. Either way, that's a bit far from turret EM discharge.
Yeah. I don't know. I never saw turret EM discharge in that I barely used it, but it's kind of because I feel like it was more of its strength outweighs its awkwardness and like weird play style that it encourages. But I guess if that's your thing, then that's your thing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like that kind of play style just doesn't sound like one, to be honest with you. Like just setting up a turret just to then do that with like exclusively, that just kind of is wild to me. But well, that is why people have different opinions.
Because you have a primary weapon in your secondary slot, and therefore anything that stops any build that makes your primary not feel as much like a primary feels better when you're using the shard diffractor.
Well, you could use like any single target based secondary with that, because EM Fire, that's just like heavy AoE, right? Just a bit awkward, but it's really good at that, isn't it?
Yeah,
like it just tears through hordes.
Yeah, so you just set up, and it's nicer if the weapon that you have that's like ready to go at all times is something that has a lot of ammo. But the thing is, you can still use the stubby for that in that context, because you would be taking a high electrocution chance, and obviously also electric arc, which means you get more electric arcs, which is the most basic way of building the stubby for AoE without using even the turret overclocks. But you also have that as well. So you can still use the stubby to sort of pick things off, because EM turret discharge is very efficient. You know, if you take the increased electrocution chance, it's going to be roughly every second shot will cause the explosion. So it's very ammo efficient for the stubby, and it doesn't use any turret ammo either. So you still have the stubby to pick off things that have, you know, quite a little bit of help. You know, it's really only good for grunts and like acid splitters and weaker, you know, but still it works. So I actually respect that build. I think it's probably more flexible than people think. I feel like a lot of people who latch onto it probably just like, I have to use just the turrets all the time, nothing else. So, well, no, I mean, you still got the stubby. You can use it somewhat reliably, kind of. It's still there. lost much by taking it. You lose more by taking turret arc, obviously. First of all, you lose your integrity as an engineer. First of all, that's just a big, that's the big L, right?
Yeah, that's a pretty sizable L. You become worthless as a person.
Unless you're like level 2000, in which case you can use whatever the fuck you want. Like, I don't feel like I'm at that point yet. I like the idea of there are people who are just such a high level and have such experience that they can make anything work, and you would never judge them because of their level. But you would never judge them because they actually make it work, right? I don't think I'm at that level of I could be at that level of skill if I actually went for it, but I don't enjoy doing things like that. I might do if I was like, level 2000 or something, but I'm not. Still got a massive dick though.
Massive hog, I think you mean.
No. I don't know why Tyler does this. He likes referring to the idea of me talking about my level in game as whipping out my dick, which I find a bit odd.
You gotta whip out your cock and show them that it's bigger than theirs. You gotta fucking power move them, or they'll think you got a small dick and that you're a low level green beard.
I just find it funny when people assume that I don't know what I'm talking about because I'm wrong.
Yeah, but it's just like, if they disagree with you, they can only assume that you know less than them. But they're never going to assume you know more than them unless you tell them that you are a higher level than they are, and check yourself before you wreck yourself.
I actually saw an interesting comment on something. I don't know if it was on a video or on a Reddit post, or it was a Reddit post. It was just an interesting just statement about how they feel like the meta of the game, like the overall purpose of the meta has sort of shifted from how best to work together to everyone just trying to find the most overpowered build on their class. That's sort of what the meta is, just trying to find the strongest builds rather than trying to work together, which I guess is definitely true for me because I play solo most of the time. Therefore, I'm just trying to find the strongest builds. But, and I'm going to be honest, I don't work very well with other people either. Game. No, I'm not a team player.
No.
I'm not a team.
We just about get revived, that's about
just about, if you're lucky.
Yeah, if we've been a good little boy, Harry will gift us with a singular revive. But if we waste that's it. No, you're spending the rest of the mission on the floor.
Yeah.
For those who watch the streams, you'll know that's not true, but it's not far off. Harry will prioritize himself in all given moments.
Yes. That's because at any given moment, I am the most valuable asset to the team.
Yeah, and it's also true that the second you go down, we are statistically more likely to lose. Like when you got killed by that cave leech on yesterday's stream, we lost. Like that was literally it. Like you died first, we all immediately followed up and died. But as long as you're alive, we often just continue to survive. It's not really a big issue. So it's fair enough, but it is also true.
It's a hard balance, isn't it? Because it's if I go down, then everything's fucked. But there's also a pretty high chance that if everyone else goes down, but it's usually higher. As in, I don't consider myself very good at clutching. It still seems like I have the highest success rate though when it comes to clutching. I'm probably just not as good as I should be. It doesn't make sense. You think I would be because then I'm on my own in that scenario, but I'm also not because I don't have boss code. But boss code I make as weak as possible.
But don't you also give up in single player a lot?
If I go down within the first 5 minutes, I quit.
Yeah, but and even then though, if you go down, do you then just start half-arsing it?
No. If I don't quit, it's the opposite of half-arsing it after that.
Double down.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, I think maybe I'm actually going to do my best to try and pull this back. I have to try and pull my foreskin back every day because otherwise it just gets stuck.
Yeah, on your fat hog.
Because I don't know such a high level.
Yeah. All right. Next comment.
I don't know, mate. Maybe because I'm feeling inadequate.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I don't know what that was. The next comment is really dumb. Okay, so this is from Dev Q&A November. This is a comment left by Jakiru. He said they could always perhaps just make an overclock for the M1000 to remove the charge shot and make it fire instantly when pulling the trigger. What a stupid idea. Do you even understand that?
What would that would be like hipster, right?
Removes the charge shot and make it fire instantly when pulling the trigger. What does that mean? I
think it means turning it into an automatic DMR thing.
Yeah, that's just dumb.
I don't know what it's in relation to either, though. That's the issue with the comments, really.
That's AI stability engine, my friend. I think that's what he's looking for. It just doesn't quite make sense in his gesture. It's just like, I should go and make an overclock that gets rid of the... I mean, you know, it's not that doesn't happen. The Hurricane's like a proof that you can just take things away with an overclock. You know?
Yeah.
2 of them remove the guidance system entirely. Actually, not entirely. Mindless system's the only one that removes it entirely, actually, to be fair. But it still does it. Therefore, there is like an argument there. But also, it just wouldn't... Notices would be completely invaluable. I mean, I think invaluable actually means like very valuable, so I shouldn't say that. But I think it would be not worth doing. Like, what's the point in removing the focus shot from the M1000 to make it automatic? That won't have any value in just Scout's arsenal as an option. You know? Yeah. People like Hipster, I think in part because they still have the focus shot at least. And it's just as fast as you can pull the trigger.
Yeah.
So you're never going to get your automatic M1000. Assuming that's what you're asking for. I can't actually quite tell. A little bit silly.
Silly.
But is that like make it fire instantly when pulling the trigger?
Well, he does say M1000, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because the thing is that, like, as much as I shit on that, right? M1000, smart rifle. Remove the and it's not charge shot. It removes the lock on type burst mode. Replace that with just an automatic, more like slower firing based. I don't know. I don't know.
You could get an overclock for the Sabata that removes the bullets and replaces them with nails.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, I don't know. It's weird because I don't know. I don't think the M1000 needs that, but I don't think it's a bad idea generally. I think it's to do with like the M1000 charge feature is quite simple, right? It doesn't really feel like it needs to be changed that much. Like, because with the Hurricane thing, right? Hurricane uses the new like targeting auto system, right? Which they don't mind turning that off because it's new, it's interesting, it's funky like that. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, I don't know. I think it's just the difference in treatments with the newer and older weapons. The newer ones feel like there's a lot more to them, and they're a lot more malleable.
I agree. They are more malleable.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, which is why I don't know. Yeah, M1000 doesn't sit right with I think most people, but the smart rifle, please.
I mean, I guess it doesn't make a lot of sense. So does it when you think about what the M1000 is doing? Is it actually just combining 2 bullets? It's literally mashing the bullets together in the magazine because it's firing 2 bullets at once, but it's a focus shot. Therefore, it's more accurate, even though it's apparently firing 2 bullets at once, which you would think would cause like a larger spread logically, possibly, but it doesn't. So I posit an overclock where you can just hold it down, and the longer you hold it down, the more bullets you put into one. You can end up firing the whole magazine.
I think, and that's the thing that surprised me. I thought that overcooling
chamber.
That's the one. I thought supercooling chamber would make it so it cost more than 2. Like, just because my EPC wouldn't mind, right? Because that's the one I use that uses charge shot more often. I see charge shot as something that, number change, more or less charge efficiency. But no, it's still 2, which surprised me.
Do you think that could potentially be a better way of handling supercooling chambers ammo penalty?
Maybe, but I feel like it's something that they didn't change on purpose. Like I can't quite posit the reason why, but maybe they do want it to just be like, because the EPC, the charge shot efficiency, is kind of like, that's a thing then, right? That's like part of it. But I think maybe they don't want that to be a playable around stat on the M1000. The M1000 has normal shot and charge shot, which is just 2 normal shots put together. And that's just how they want that to be. And then you'll play around with that.
So otherwise. They probably wouldn't make anything that makes changes the cost of the charge shot. It's not a cost thing, because it's not a charge shot, it's focus shot. Point. We actually had this discussion kind of yesterday, but it's like, the charge shots. It's like it's a battery. That's why it's a charge shot. It's the amount of charge that you use. The focus shot is always just going to be, I guess it is 2 bullets combined into 1. I don't know the logistics of that, but still. But then you could have an overclock where you can load up a burst of charge shots, or focus shots, I should say. Yeah. I would like that. I think that'd be pretty cool. You could unload the whole magazine, but it'd be very quickly one after the other, like double barrel speed. Obviously, it wouldn't be double barrel.
Yeah.
Actually, that would be funny. I'm not kidding. That would be fucking funny if they would an M1000 overclock where it just fired 2 bullets one after the other naturally.
Set it to like a 2-shot burst,
and then the charge shot would be 2 charge shots as well. Then that might actually be a useful version that might actually be a not terrible version of the double barrel mechanic.
It would be like the coil guns, where you have to like shoot it 2 times after, but it'd be like automatic.
I'm not a huge fan of triple tip chambers, but I feel like I'd like to see that be used for something like really good. I'd like to see some of the not as well implemented mechanics be used for something cool. I mean, actually, triple tech chambers is good for quite a specific build. But I'd like to see more stuff like that done well, like plasma bursters. Well, first of all, plasma bursters itself should be done well first, but
yeah.
I guess the shredders are that almost though, aren't they?
Yeah, new mechanics being reworked into older systems is ideal. Like the new weapons gimmicks and overclocks and funky things that they've made, bring them back to the older guns. This is something I've been saying for a while now, right?
Well, that's not going to happen until we get more overclocks, though, and it will happen when we get more overclocks.
Yeah, but that maybe they won't do that though, because they are, with how all the new weapons have new kind of stuff to them, they are also just as likely for all the new overclocks for the older weapons to have new gimmicks onto it as well, right? Like they're going to add more funky things, and while that I think is going to be expected and welcomed with moderation, there is definitely some things that can be brought back. Like we mentioned this because the nail gun idea for the Sabata, but there is some funky status effects in the game, or not status effects, but like damage types that can be reverse engineered to the older weapons, right? Piercing on the crossbow could either be an overclock, a mod, or just done something to a different older weapon in the past, just to change it up a little bit.
Well, to me, M1000 is a pretty. If you're on Scout himself, if you were to go somewhere else with piercing, M1000 seems like a pretty good candidate for a lot of reasons. I think it makes sense for sort of higher powered shots, just in general, and I guess the idea of like. It's also a bit. It's like hunting equipment, the crossbow is for hunting. But I guess the 1000 is a hunting rifle, so they might share that. Which also means that electrocuting focus shots should be. You should use taser shots, taser pulse. Come on, man! I don't give a shit about electrocuting focus shots. I just think that's such a good idea.
Well, that exact thing. You could, taser bolts aren't a new mechanic.
That would be the coolest way to put AoE on the M1000 as well.
Yeah, it would be like, you have to like charge shot connect, like you have to like basically like you and you to like grunts, and then they would like connect the electric beams to each other, right? That's the idea, right?
Because I originally thought it would just be the taser bolt status effect. It wouldn't include the electric arc part, but I thought no, you would though. I want that in the M1000. I think that would suit the M1000, and because that's the thing. It's a bit like why you use pheromone bolts instead of using pheromone grenades. So actually, I think I want to use taser focus shots instead of taser bolts, and it allows you to. I think it would just create some really interesting builds. I think that would be fucking sick. Like, that's just a good
But
idea.
is this not the best example?
I don't think that's a bad example.
No, it's not a bad example. But my only issue with it is that the electric arcs is actually a pretty old thing, like with turret arc and the crystalline caverns. Electric arcing isn't that new of a mechanic.
Well, this wouldn't be this already isn't entirely new. This is a rework for electrocuting focus shots.
I know. But like, we were talking about that. But I do think the one of those three is a prime example. Explode on death should be added to another gun when we get overclocked. Whatever other gun it is, should it's a status effect that has merit being somewhere else as well. If the crossbow is the only one that has like access to that,
right? Okay, explosive chemical bolts. That status effect, which is actually that's that's an interesting one actually, because I talked about something yesterday where it's like, driller and gunner are the only ones that have neurotoxin, but there's no difference in the damage type used by the chemical bolts and neurotoxin. It's just they both deal poison damage. It's just obviously it's a different status effect where explosive chemical bolts or the explosive chemicals, that status effect is, they just have the differences can be in the duration and the damage done, but the main difference is that it makes them explode when they die. Yeah, I'd love to see it on something else. And I think your overclock that you came up with put that on the Bulldog. But it's like the Bulldog already has neurotoxin, and I think it's a good idea. But it's like, but neurotoxin's getting in the way. But I also don't necessarily think they should swap it out either. I don't.
It was more that, like, I don't know. It'll be a more simplified AOE option for the Bulldog, right? In that you would shoot them, they would then die, and they would block.
Yeah, I mean, because if it was a thing, it would have to be an overclock, because I feel like you shouldn't be able to combine that with magic.
Oh yeah, for sure, overclock. But I think
the way we did it, I think because I reworked it as part of the final pitch, I reworked it to be like it only applies when you hit a weak point, because then you can't you can't use like the explosive rounds to like hit multiple enemies with that, because you don't need to. Either it'll be overkill. Not even necessarily overpowered, it'd just be overkill. Just,
But it would basically, I don't know, something like that. That is a brand spanking new mechanic, damage type, a status effect, right? That is in the game, and they need to bring it back at least once to something else, right? Like honestly, a grenade wouldn't have been a bad shout. It's a bit late for that, but it wouldn't have been a bad shout.
Oh, that would be a really cool grenade, though, wouldn't it? Because that's perfect for the throwing knives thing. Because
honestly, I was thinking throwing knives.
It's like a high ammo grenade. Like the throwing knife thing was like, I don't know, 20 or something. It's going to take 16 would be more reasonable, and you would just tag one enemy, and they would become your grenade. And they would become...
I'm thinking something a little less controllable, because I would put this on gunner. And I would basically, the lead burster, you throw it down, it shoots fucking hundreds of bullets in the area. Basically, you throw it down and it shoots syringes out in the area, and anything it touches will get that status effect. And then, like, give it a second, like everything will be alive. You give them a second or two, and then the fireworks occur. When they start dying to the status effects, or people start shooting them, boom, 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 like the fucking scene out of the end of Kingsman 1, right? Everyone's head starts fucking blowing up. Like that shit, I don't know. That would have been pretty cool if they had that. So I guess that would be a lead burster overclock, I guess, or mod, right? But I'm not fond of that one. But is that status effect?
Well, speaking of putting new things like onto grenade, I mean, I think a necrosis grenade wouldn't actually be that bad.
Which was the necrosis? What necrosis?
The blistering necrosis.
Right, that is another new thing, like a weak point creation thing. I'm not sure how you would be able to manage what would do that. I think you have to be careful with who you put it on. It'll be too strong on scout. I'm thinking you could put it on maybe engineer. I think engineer would probably be a solid shout. Maybe.
I guess it's just a case of what part of his kit makes sense for him to get that one apart from a new grenade. Because a new grenade can be typed anything. I think this is might be a weird thing to say. I think I will want another set of grenades at some point. I think.
Yeah,
I'm being honest. I would. My hope is that it would be not necessarily paired with something else. My hope is it would just be a more thorough update in other areas. But I would still like to see more grenades, because grenades, they're very singular, obviously, but they're also you also have a lot of freedom with them. Is that they're not tied. It's always a new grenade. It's not tied down by what the weapon is supposed to be. It's not even that tied down by class. You can pretty much do what they want. So I will be receptive to new grenades if they do them a few seasons down the line, not soon, but still.
Yeah, and this is the caveat that this season or season 3 felt like it was like grenades and rock pox. Meanwhile, it should really be whatever the season is, and then grenades, right? Grenades is not tied to that kind of content. It's not up there in desired content. They should be treated as such in not having too much effort being put into it.
Yeah, because I noticed something. Basically, it's like in Borderlands, it all comes back to Borderlands. I mean, honestly, first of all, go ship. Borderlands 2 is a fucking treasure trove of overclock ideas and grenade ideas. So
just ideas generally.
Yeah, just weapon ideas as well. But basically, the way that it labels grenades is that they're not actually grenades. They call them grenade mods. You always have grenades, and whatever you pick up is actually just a modification. So, and it's not too dissimilar from the way that Deep Rock sort of handles it. It's just more indirect, where it's everything else has upgrades. It's just well, actually, I don't think you're actually choosing between different grenades. It's just or the 4 different options are what fuck, what was it? What am I doing? And you don't have an upgrade tree. The upgrade tree for your grenade slot is basically whichever one you choose. It's 4 upgrades, basically, I guess, is how I sort of view it. And that's why grenades won't ever get upgrades or overclocks, because the slot is your grenade, your grenade slot, and it's how do you build your grenade slot? As in, which one do you take? I don't know. It seems very trivial, but I sort of view it that way for some reason. I view it that way to stop me from wanting grenade upgrades. That's why I view it that way.
Yeah.
That wasn't a clever ploy to start that debate, though, because I don't want to. Because I don't.
Yeah. I don't actually have any recollection.
Sorry, this is important. It's episode 42.
Is that important?
Yeah, 42. You don't know what the number means. It's the meaning of life, the universe, and everything.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why?
Douglas Adams said so. It's from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
For some reason I knew that, but I have no idea why, because I have no idea what that is. I know it's a book. And I have no idea what it's about.
It's actually a lot more literal than you would think. Anyway, and also there's that YouTuber called 42. I
don't trust him.
I know you don't.
He looks like he spreads misinformation for some sick kicks. Speaking of misinformation, let's go back to our comments.
Speaking of misinformation, this is from Fernando, also on the Dev Q&A from November. It was something to do with just regarding dreadnoughts. What about a warning that increases the chance of a dreadnought to spawn? That's his brilliant suggestion. Give it up for Fernando. Give it.
Well, no, yeah, I think that is honestly. If it wasn't for the fact that I think the appeal of having random dreadnoughts spawn is how rare they are, that would be a perfectly legitimate warning within the old game, right? I cannot see a universe where they add a warning that simple anymore to the game, because they don't be doing that for some reason. They're that's it. We have to make everything super complicated, or it's not worth adding.
They do view everything that was there before seasons as the foundation, and that the foundation is, I don't know, rock solid, as you could say. But yeah. I guess this might spiral off. But the only the main issue I take with that, I suppose, is that it's not like on a technical level any of the new content is not foundation content. If that was how they viewed it, then warnings and mission types are still foundation content. So, but for some reason we're not getting simple ones anymore. We're just getting complex versions of things of foundation features. Which that just spins off into probably our biggest issue of seasons. Either way, I guess there would definitely be a way to create a reason for this. I think something like that specifically, like because if they did something with dreadnoughts, that could easily sustain a season, because that's where that would be like the Glyphid Queen season or something. And that
like
could
more
be,
dreadnoughts on the prowl.
I don't want to
or
see
something.
more warnings, but actually, yeah, exactly. Because I was thinking that the warning could actually be the chance of like a Queen spawn event. I don't know, don't do that. But that's like that. I sort of think of it like a warning is actually better suited to something to pair with new content, right?
Oh yeah.
For example, you look at this Age Outbreak. If they had done either a new mission type or the priority task idea that we came up with, then you would also add in, just for free, you get this free other bit of content that is a warning that just introduces rockpox swarms into missions. And it's a very simple warning, that's all it does. And it's also just free content. So I think warnings would be a very useful side to the main content.
Yeah. Just literally like do the main content, dissect it into a manageable form, make a warning out of it.
Yeah,
basically.
And that's basically what you said. It was like a suggestion where a warning that increases random dreadnought spawns would be like the side to like a Glyphid Queen season, or just a season that introduces more dreadnoughts.
It would basically, it would make you feel more of a dreadnought presence. You know what I mean? Like in missions,
dreadnought presence.
like. Yeah, I mean, just generally, so you can feel because I think this is what they're doing. I'm not sure how
how well they're doing it. Season name, they would call it Sense of Dread.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know about the three things, but yeah.
Well, that could be the name of the warning.
Like I know this is what they're doing. I'm not sure how well they're doing it, but like. Having seasons feel different, if you know what I mean. Like while you're playing the game, you are overwhelmed by the season. You know what I mean? That I think we are kind of that. The robots were that generally, right? Like season 2, the rivals were that.
Well, yeah, but season 2 rival presence is. If you were to discount the turret controller only because the turret controller makes that warning more complex than it could have been, I think it's still a positive thing. But that is realistically that could have functioned as a side addition where industrial sabotage was the main thing, and it's like, and that would have been fine. As in, I think it would have been not a bad timeline if what we actually got in season 1 was industrial sabotage, and then a warning that just added the robot ambushes. You didn't even have the turret controller even be that thing that you would consider, and that's how the robots would have been condensed to one season, and that's how you make a theme, whatever the new threat is or the new thing. That's how you make it feel more full on, and you would never the need for a sequel season would be fully downplayed, like almost completely. Because all you got to do is. It would be very easy to have 2 major gameplay features if one of them is just a very basic warning or anomaly. But suddenly it just makes the whole thing feel more fleshed out, because suddenly there's 2 things that you can see on the map that are related to this thing that come out the season. But it would be, and it's not a lot. The whole point. This is actually a bit like a fucking the nail gun debate. The whole point is that it would be as simple as they need it to be for it to be very easy to do.
Yeah, like if they have ample time, they can put ample F into it, right? Like if by some god-given miracle, the main game mode, let's say for this example, or biome, I'm gonna go with biome just because.
Biome, they talked about the dev stream today. Someone said it, and it's like, it's probably about time for a new biome. Someone said that.
I mean, in all fairness, they start getting pretty loose-lipped when they know it's about to enter teaser season. So I'm not surprised they're going to start dropping stuff like that. But I'm going to go with biome just because of positive reinforcement. But like, say they made the new biome and it took them less time than they thought, something like that, right? And they realized, oh shit, we have a bunch of time left over to do something else. They can put as much effort as they want into a preferably anomaly for, once again, positive reinforcement or a secondary objective, something like that. And they could just go hard in that if they want.
You can have a secondary objective or anomaly, because that's all side, and then like biome and mission is like main shit. And then priority tasks would have been main shit as well, but we don't have that.
And as much as I think it's a good idea and would have improved the game, it's not happening. Let's be realistic. But like,
well, it's not happening because it already happened in essence.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's not going to. Whatever. Carry on.
Yeah. Basically, if they have plenty of time, they realize, oh shit, we're good actually. They can put like shit tons of effort into that. Doesn't matter. But if the opposite is true, and they realize, like this biome is taking far longer than we thought, they could just do the minimal amount in the warning, right? Or like anomaly.
Yeah,
just do a simple one.
What would a biome-related anomaly warning even look like? Because in my head, my preference for that would be, this would be, maybe this would be a very hazardous biome, or the anomaly. It could be an anomaly or a warning that. I mean, what I was thinking of at first was like, what if it just like added literally like, what if this biome was like more sentient than others, like as in a sentient biome, and you had patches of that biome in other places as an anomaly.
Yeah, that's a pretty good.
But that might be a bit too high effort for what we're talking about.
I have this one, and I think I came up with this in my my like season ideas video, but I'm not actually sure how polished that was in the end. But basically, new biomes, caustic mire, love the caustic mire, always repping the caustic mire, and it basically is that the anomaly is that enemies spawn without armor because they've been exposed to corrosion and they're naked now. So enemies have like a 50% chance, let's say, to just not have armor. That's just a thing.
Oh my god,
that'd be pretty handy, right? That would be pretty nice. Just having no need for armor breaking most of the time. Like I would say, guaranteed no armor, but that might be a step too far. But then again, we do have critical weakness and double XP and stuff like that. Anomalies do go too far, but they're fine at it. So maybe no armor is a thing. If armor can be stripped, it is in that warning, anomaly. But yeah, something like that, basically. But if they wanted to, they could go harder. In the anomaly, there might be caustic, like, holes or like stuff like that, like what you mentioned. Like if they had more time and wanted to, they could add more effort into it. But there should be a simple enough version of it, right? Like just literally, enemies do not have armor. Job done. And then if they feel like it, they can add some zhuzhier elements, some flashier, some bigger parts to it. And if they've got the time, but yeah, I don't know. That's something like that. A system like that would just feel good. But I think in the end, no, they shouldn't be a warning to increase dreadnought spawns. Because to be honest with you, how rare dreadnought spawn is what makes it interesting and also playable. Because if they're common, you kind of have to like always be semi-prepared to fight a dreadnought, and that would be rough.
The best way to do something like that would be to make a new type of dreadnought. That's an event,
like a semi-naught. Where it's not as bad as the others.
A demi-naught. No, well, yes, but
demi-naught's
it would be like a dreadnought order or a gemstone dreadnought, right? And it's like this, because I like the idea of a we do have the Prospector as sort of like the very basic springboard of this, but the Prospector isn't a boss fight, in my eyes. Tyler, you brought this up in your season ideas video. We have an event that is a boss fight. And if you had a dreadnought focused season, there could be this new type that springs up. It's a dreadnought that just eats gemstones, and it has like this concentrated, like how like whatever the fuck a pearl is, like in a clam, it's actually made of their mucus. Yeah. You have something like that inside the dreadnought. That's what you're trying to retrieve. That's what gives you your data cell for the season. Something like that.
Maybe that, or I'm thinking more on the side of it. Say this is dreadnought based on the mother, right? Maybe this is like a. I wouldn't say, because Sentinel is actually a word, but like the kind of like.
If it's like a higher class of Sentinel, though, I'd love to see that.
maybe like a Sentinel but bigger. Like how like Sentinels, they work for a Hive Guard, but an evolved Hive Guard, which is the Queen, gets evolved Sentinels, and those are what you have to take out. And in them, they have like I don't know, like pheromones that will like lead you to their queen or something like that. And not Ghost Ship, Deep Rock needs those to help locate the queen. And this is like, I don't know, maybe the queen's not actually there yet this season, right? Like, I don't know, something like that. And they're like building up to it, which would be pretty cool. But yeah, something like that. That's where my thought goes as well. Either way, more dreadnoughts is cool. More random dreadnoughts spawning or like wave dreadnoughts less cool. It's cool how rare they are. But yeah, point is, yay! There isn't a point anymore.
What was that? Wait, what was that supposed to be? Is that an anomaly or a warning or something? Your fucking sentinels. What were they doing?
That's the same thing as yours, just the event.
Oh right. I was saying if it was something that could be named. I like the idea of naming something Royal Flush. I like that term.
I'm not surprised. I mean, that's probably like luck involved or something. Like increased loot enemy chance, like more Hoolies, more Crassus, more golden loot bugs, some shit like that. I don't like that idea, but something like that, would be
gay.
And that would work with Royal Flush.
That would be gay as hell.
Yeah. Next.
Oh boy, it's our guy Gunner Generalist build. That's actually the video. That's not the guy's name. The guy's name is actually Halo for the Win 2408. So you can see why I
assume he's sad right now.
It's not a particularly interesting comment. This is in relation, you know, it's like you can tell that it's not really interesting. This is in relation to the breakpoints of jet fuel. You know, and it just says when Ghost Ship finally gets around to fixing armor break on Hurricane, it will 2-shot grunt in the body rather than 3-shot. So, but actually, like that's a very specific comment, but it speaks to a very long-running issue, which is armor breaking but area damage being broken, which is
yeah.
Do you think that includes HE, by the way?
I would have to guess.
If it does, then that's a hidden, well, not a, but something that HE doesn't have that it should have, that it does have, but it doesn't work.
How broken is AoE? Is it that it does it worse than it says it does, or does it not do it?
I think it is worse than it says it is. It's like a lot worse.
HE does strip, but considering it has 400 armor breaking or armor breaking, right? Which should like insta break anything other than anything, right?
Guess, this is actually interesting because you think about something like armor break module on the smart rifle is 1,250%, and then the drills is like 10,000%, which is funny to think about as a number.
Yeah.
But if the bug is actually that it's less than it says, then. And it's like it's not fixable in terms of literally fixing it, then I'm surely. So actually, by the way, this does rely on the idea that it's not actually broken; it's just broken in terms of it does less than it says. Where the workaround would be you just change the actual internal value to be way higher than it says it is. That's a workaround. Yeah. Surely that's a workaround because we might not be right about what the actual problem is. So
I think as far as I'm aware, I think it is literally that it just doesn't. Like AoE legitimately doesn't break armor.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. That's a problem, and and I think the reason why that comment stuck out to me because just like that's just a very I wouldn't say a prominent case. You shouldn't need to make a case, but it's like a prominent thing in like the meta that would change, where suddenly, jet fuel homebrew can one-shot a grunt in the face, but it can free shots body shots because of armor. But if armor breaking worked, then you don't have to 2-shot them. So it's just like it's things like that's like a very legitimate, like significant breakpoint change. And it's like that's the kind of thing that's the kind of thing that would change if we suddenly got this. You know, I don't know if it would actually make it worth using on the PGL, but
it would then like be a competition.
I don't know what the other ones are because the Thunderhead. I assume the armor breaking applies to direct damage as well, but it can't. I guess it. Does that mean? What does that mean? Because the Hurricane deals direct damage. So does that mean they're specifically only applying the armor breaking to the AoE, and that's why it's not working? Because I think the idea, because specifically on the PGL, it's meant to be a pressure wave where it's like a blast that breaks armor. So the intention is for the area damage to break armor. Obviously the Thunderhead does armor breaking as well. Anyway, it's something that wasn't it. Didn't someone say? Was it? It must have been Lizzie. Maybe he basically said that it can't be fixed or something. I think there was some weird bullshit. Not bullshit reason. I think there was just some weird fuckery going on where it's like.
If it was easy to fix, they would have fixed it already, right? Yeah. The developers are good enough for that, but it does seem like it's some sort of fuckery that has caused that to occur. And really, if that is the case, remove the mods.
But yeah, that's the better option.
That's the same thing with the. Right. It's the same thing with the cigar on Gunner. No one would ask for a cigar if he didn't show using one. Like, there would be an issue if there wasn't a choice. Yeah, like if they can't get the armor breaking to work, don't give it armor breaking, or at least a mod that armor breaks, right? Like if it's just some hidden stat behind the scene, then no one will really care. Like, just like if it doesn't work, just push it onto the base gun. Like the non-direct damage.
Yeah. Especially in like cases of PGL, it's just like it's already just that tier of mods is already dominated, where it's like you could actually get away with not replacing it in that case, I suppose. Like, genuinely, I think I wouldn't throw a hissy fit if they didn't replace it. But, like something like the Hurricane, I'd like to see a different mod in that slot personally.
Yeah. Either way, I think it's just
that PGL mod tier does have 3 options as it stands. So removing armor break would, you still have 2 options. I mean, the other one's not great. The other one's just for Fat Boy, but still. I think addressing.
And I think it's the thing, that like if it doesn't work, why have it there? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just bad. It's a bad thing to have something that is so obviously broken that everyone's like, yeah, that doesn't work. Just lying around. Right, it's bad for the game. A bit like the double barrel. When double barrel is, but like the boomstick one where one is literally worse at doing what it should be than the other one. Right, like picking the reload speed over the other one actually reloads slower. Alright, that right. That stuff should be fixed. And the armor break is under that category of either you fix it or you remove it. Because that's what they have to do with the boomstick, right? Just make the reload so much shorter that it is quicker, or remove it. That's really your solutions here. Other
similar bugs, because if the armor break is a bug, that's the problem.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Mystery Necrosis is ridden with it, but it also still works, right? Like, if anything, I think it's bugged to be better than it normally is, or normally should be.
Okay. I mean, it's interesting that they got the Starter Pump's armor breaking to work, and that's like armor breaking over time. What the fuck does that even mean? I mean, obviously I get the concept; it melts armor over time, but it's almost like impressive that worked, and yet these other ones don't. It's kind of weird. Yeah, I don't think.
I think it's just because it was just like. That status effect would just then tick away at armor's health. I don't know how it works, but like something like that.
I think armor does have health. I think that is actually how it works. Yeah. Because otherwise,
so it's probably like if you're being corroded, your armor's getting fucked. Something like that.
Like actually, because health values is just a very broad in development concept, as in code concept, where it's like health values are used for a lot of things. That's why you have things that can get everything that can be destroyed in a video game probably has health values. And this is like, I don't mean like a set piece where you see like if you're playing like a story mode of a game and a building gets destroyed, that's something else. But I mean like I learned about this actually from someone talking about it in Halo, where you have objects like wooden pallets that are just strewn about the map. You break it. It can be broken by being shot or by being hit. It gets destroyed by doing a certain amount of damage to it, and that same logic applies to a lot of things. Where it's like any inanimate object you can destroy, it still has health values as if it were an entity. It just doesn't have a health bar, so it's not presented as an entity. So that you get that for all the plants, you get that for Stabbervines. But Stabbervines should have health bars. That's the thing.
Yeah, they kind of should. Yeah.
They definitely should. They're a cool enemy as well, and also that's obviously you talked about how you want them to sort of take mechanics from new things and retroactively, well not necessarily retroactively, add them in the form of new overclocks for old weapons. But you actually you definitely have the inverse of that going on. They take mechanics that they've already made and sort of evolve them with what comes next. And one of the easiest examples of that is the stabber vines evolving into the robotic appendages, or them being based off of that, or the vines in the hollow bow using like the same code in the way that they move as like the refinery pipes, things like that. But that's actually cool. That's pretty cool stuff as well, because you get that for like those kind of aspects of the game. But I want to see more. I agree with you in the sense I want to see more of that for our equipment. Well.
Well, it's the same thing. It's because, evolving stuff is like naturally part of the game, but it does leave the stuff in the past, like the foundation stuff, unevolved, right? I mean,
you can't really track the evolution in a game where it's already all there. We can sort of get a sense of that because it happened over time for us, but a new player isn't going to get that sense. They might just end up seeing some stuff as more primitive, possibly. That actually doesn't apply to the things like something the pipelines are distinct from the red vines. They're very different things, and they're both pretty thorough features.
Compare like the salt pits
to
hollow bow, or fucking the Azure World, right?
That's an evolution of design, sort of just approach. That's not like mechanics that introduce being used. Things.
But but that's still the case, right? They like with the two new biomes, I think it's really a level of interactivity, I think, that they brought to the next level.
The Cave Angels mechanic come back in any way?
Yeah, Cave Angels, like more enemies that you can interact with like that. Like, and it's like I could think of an argument against it because it would kind of devalue Cave Angels.
Because the only other way of using Cave Angels really is just more Cave Angels.
Yeah, but I
mean, it's not.
Even then,
the actual option is making a hang glider, but
Yeah, but I'm thinking like you could do some cool things, like say, and this is like not in a new biome. The new biome would likely have some things along like these, maybe even more evolved versions of stabber vines, stuff like that, right? But like bringing it back to, let's say, what's the like the shitty jungle one that's really horrible color scheme? No. That's a bog. The jungle one. Zone. Yeah, that's the one. Dense biozone, say it has like a thick vine hanging from the ceiling. Like they have just big vines, and those vines can be grabbed onto like a cave angel, and you would like zip line across the map, like natural zip lines on the ceilings, something like that.
Oh my
God.
And
in all fairness, the game does have some right of that already, especially in that biome, right? You have the plants that lift you up. Those stuff.
Yeah. That's why it's got the cave creatures as well.
Yeah, the game does have plenty of that as is. I'm just saying that the new ones bring it to a next level that the old ones don't really compete with.
Honestly, I just came up with a ridiculous idea for just a cool way to use the cave engine mechanic. Because obviously you sort of have the reverse of where you have the pipe sort of mechanic being utilized for the vines. Whereas if we got the inverse of that, where we actually had like the cave engine mechanic be translated onto like a piece of equipment that was provided to you. You'd have like these like motorized hang gliders that all the doors could get in like a mission type that is just, I don't know, high altitude combat or something. It would be pretty. I think the excuse for them would have to be pretty. I don't think it'd actually be a very good mission type, whatever that is. It'd probably be too extreme, but. Still.
I'm not really hooked on like Cave Angels.
Cool, like machine event mechanic or something. It's like a hang glider. It dispenses
them
for you.
Or like it's like a parkour thing, like fucking Dying Light. Like it's a machine event and or any sort of whatever this is. You have to like climb up like the beams, and you have to like grab a hold of it, and it's like it's like clambering and like grabbing hold of beams using the cave reach feature, and it's like, I don't know, that would be funky. I don't know about you, but adding like actual fucking parkour into Deep Rock would be pretty weird. But I'm less fond of inherently the hang gliding grabbing of the cave angels, and I mentioned this before, and I just wanted to mention it here because that was in a live stream, and I wanted to bring it to a podcast. In that Mobula should be just universal name of like any like native Hoxie's creature that helps you move around the cave. That should be like
I think that's the
code
interesting
name
they
for that.
have the capability to do that. Where as it stands, I guess it is a species name, but
it's in other right now.
I know it's in other, but as it stands, it is a species name. But the thing they can do there is because it's already because at the moment it's just one thing. It can sort of be I guess it would be retconned, but I don't know how hard it is. It's like it's not the best year entry. It's like this Mobula is the name of this creature's species. So it's like they could. I don't think that's literally written down. So you could turn the word Mobula in or Mobula, whatever it is, into something like that, where it's referring to
mobility, right? I think that's probably where
that's where it comes from. Exactly. So that's what I mean. So which is why the idea actually makes sense. I do like the idea though of the Cave Angels species being spun off into enemies, or at the very least, and like enemies that use that movement would be.
I think
pretty interesting.
Honestly, you turn those enemies into something that attacks you, and you've got yourself some fucking phantoms out of Minecraft, mate. Like they are already very similar design wise. But like I don't know.
It's like the NATO site thing, though, isn't it? You know, you got the cave cruisers are like these weird sort of adult NATO sites. What does the breeder version of a cave angel look like? What does the shocker version? Are these like these mini like skydiving piranha things? I mean, I guess you got shredders, but still. I think actually that's probably a better idea. I do like the hang glider idea, but an enemy that uses that movement would also be pretty interesting. But also,
like stuff like that. Yeah,
the way they actually hang glide and use like gravity to build up momentum. That only happens when you're interacting with them, to be fair. But I'd want to see them use that for an actual enemy's movement. Because otherwise, like
you see it in the distance, and then it will like start booking it down to the floor, and you're like, and then it will like fly towards you at immense speed.
Wait a minute, that's what they meant to do. That's what they're going to do to the Brundle.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
right?
Well, I always thought the Brundles would be a little bit more like a jab. Like they'd get up and close to you, like all the other swarmers, and then just like whoop, whoop, and it would have a little like roll up charge effect, and then it would just beeline straight to boop, and then it like hit you in the head.
Because it makes the most sense to me for what if a flying enemy wants to melee you. It makes the most sense to me that it would use what it has to its advantage, which is the fact that it's in the air, which means that it can drop to build momentum, and like as in it would essentially be using an invisible pendulum to swing itself at you. That makes more sense to me for how a flying enemy would melee you.
I just thought they would just fly straight towards you at quick speeds.
That's the thing.
Basically,
I don't think they're fast enough for that to be dangerous. I think they would use gravity to their advantage. I like that idea, where essentially it's a wrecking ball with wings. That's what the Brundle should be, to me.
Yeah, but I that's not. I mean, that's not how it would work. I don't know. Like, how big is this pendulum? Because to use gravity to attack you, they would essentially turn into the Omeran rocks, and they would just fall on your head. That
would be brilliant. If they just dropped on top of your head, that would be hilarious.
That idea pissed me off thinking about it, and it's probably why I'm fighting you on your idea right now, because that mere thought.
Standing still for that to even be a threat. They'd just be dropping out the sky for no reason. It'd be hilarious.
Yeah, but it'd still just be really fucking annoying because no one looks dead up above them while they're fighting something. It would need to kind of be within the swarm horde. You know what I mean? Like it would be like, you'd have your Trijaws, your swarm, which I don't know, they're called swarm, right? They're like Terra swarm.
No, swarm can't be a singular term. Terra swarm.
Yeah, but isn't the normal Mactera called Mactera Swarm?
I just told you what it's called. It's called Mactera Spawn.
Oh, Spawn. I thought you just kept saying Swarm over and over again.
I was trying really hard to make it like pronounced as well. Spawn.
Yeah.
Spawn. And it's just like Swarm? Swarm? That's stupid.
Yeah.
That happens though. I mishear people, like the letters that people say, even though they're saying them correctly a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, no, the Spawn, they Yeah, they're always kind of around the same area. They stay slightly above you, but like around the same distance. Like the Brundles would be with them because the Brundles will basically be tanking for them, right? You don't want the Brundles to be somewhere else because then you'll be shooting at them and then you'll deal with the Brundle later. The Brundle needs to be he's in your face, like go on, attack me, and they fucking head as you, right? Like go on, but then you're like trying to not hit him because as annoying as he is, there's a Trijo in the backline that will violate you.
That the Macteras do have that alien, laws of physics breaking movement where they can just have instantaneous momentum in opposite directions whenever they.
Flies have that. That's how they disappear in real life. That's why they do it in Mactera.
Does that mean? I guess if you wanted to be really scientific, that would
so
mean,
sharply they disappear.
I think if you wanted to take a really annoying scientific approach to Deep Rock, you'd have to say that means that the Macteras are actually fly-sized, and therefore that's how the scale of the universe. But either way, I'm having this amazing idea, not amazing. I mean amazing because of how funny it's is in my head because I'm thinking of Country Panda 3 of Trijaws just falling up the Brundles just falling out the sky and rolling around. It'll be a secondary attack where they just go into shellback mode and they just start rolling. And it seems like they've lost their momentum, they just go back into flying mode. But I just think that's so funny. They could do that.
There was so much possibility for Brundle's attacks, and it was just not there.
Bowling balls with wings is just whatever you do with that because it's like they didn't approach it with that concept. They just approached it with armored Mactera spawn. If they approached it with the idea of bowling ball with wings, we could have got any of those ideas that we just mentioned.
Yeah.
And that's how they should have viewed them.
Yeah, it's sad, but no, I don't think it's by anything. I think they are well within the opportunity of adjusting.
The Brundle can absolutely justify reworking its attacks.
Yeah, because it could still shoot. I don't think it should, but literally just having it it'll basically be.
Its mouth is covered by the armor.
I don't think it should either. But if they refuse to get rid of it for some reason, it's like, oh well. But literally just basically have it so one of its attacks is like a mini Corona, like how it would kind of bop you, just something like that, where it would just kind of give you a fucking headbutt, and then fly back into the air, dodge around a little bit. And you'll be able to dodge it, obviously, but if you don't, it will fucking headbutt you. But and it's like something that is tanky and realistically not that threatening. It wouldn't be a high value target. In fact, it would end up in more Praetorian oppressor, in that it's not something you want to shoot immediately, but you do need to deal with it or else it will fuck you up. It will push you off an edge if you let it, right? Something like that.
Imagine if they could actually try to do that specifically. Oh, I just.
Yeah. They come at you at the angle to
like Brundles, but.
You know the potential and how rare they are. That's it, right?
Yeah,
if they were as common as the rest, it would be so empty.
Yeah. I do think you can absolutely justify that because it's as simple as they're no different. Guards do technically have at least slightly different behavior to grunts. I mean, it's very small. First of all, by the way, that's a different argument because. You can just do different things with the Mactera if you want to. They don't have to be exactly the same, where it's this is the normal one, this is the armoured one, this is the one that does more damage. It's already a little bit, it already skews out a little bit with the Trijaw is it's not a slasher. It uses, first of all, it uses a volley of projectiles that do area damage, and it doesn't slow you down either. There's already a difference. There's already a difference in what, it's the same position, but I just mean you can excuse just doing different things with them, and the fact that the Brundle doesn't do anything different from the spawn at all, where the guard still does. The guard at least has this very basic mechanic. It's very basic, but the way it puts its guard up, it closes its arms to its face. But the Brundle can't even do that because it's just always armored in every location.
It's just they kind of you take the default one and then you're let's make it but let's make it more defensive and then more offensive, right? And they took that, right?
You could have done an inverse guard where you made it all the armor even stronger, but it opens up when it attacks.
Yeah, but it's still a grunt type, right? You can't take it too far, and it's the grunts are fair enough, and this is the thing that
maybe the bowling ball could be an adult Brundle. and it's like huge. It's like Google size, and it just drops, and it's like Indiana Jones. It's like a fucking boulder.
Yeah, but it's just like I don't know. They made the slasher like right. So the slasher and grunt, I would say, are about equally good at what they're supposed to. Like, because like, and as much as I say the slasher shouldn't have stun, put it on the grunt. The point of the slasher is that if it touches you, you're fucked. Right? Like that's the point of the slasher.
Instead of grunt. Yeah.
Yeah, guard. Well, technically they are grunt, but yeah.
Well, that's how we say it. Like we say grunt, guard, and slasher. They're the three names. It's like dreadnought. You know, the other ones are dreadnoughts, but we say dreadnought. Actually, we say normal dreadnought instead of like just dreadnought. But you know, the normal dreadnought is just called the Glyphid dreadnought, and the others are called Glyphid dreadnought. Then their their name.
Yeah.
But still, we say grunt, guard, and what do you call normal Mactera?
Yeah. What?
Like a Mactera spawn. There's no one calls them spawn. People call them Mactera.
Yeah. Mainly because people got used to it, and then people would copy everyone else that got used to it, like before there was alternate versions. But basically, the slasher is just like if it hits you, you're fucked. The grunt are like they will survive. That's their kind of thing, right? They're pretty good at what they are. I think the slashers can fuck right off. I hate them, but that's only a proof that they're doing their job. And I would argue it's the same thing for the Mactera. Like the Trijaw is the same thing. The Trijaw is a lot more deadly, like Mactera. Like that's a fact, right? The Trijaw is so much more fucking deadly because it is like so often gonna fucking hit you, and you really feel it. And like that is, that's what they did for that one. Like they didn't make it technically hit much worse because the Mactera hitting you was already pretty strong, but they made it a lot more easy to do. Like they made you getting hit by it a lot more often. But then with the bundle, it's not that much harder to kill, right?
No.
Like it's not that much more defensive. But if it was attacking you, it would then at least have that, right? Or it like you can't kill it because it's knocking you around, right? And you're too busy trying to like stay where you are, and like it becomes like a real fucking annoying thing. But like, it's just the bundle is a disappointment of an enemy, which would not be hard to fix. Just make it hit you in one way or another. Just make it like bop into you rather than basic spew.
So that it like flies up to you very slowly, and then so in like within a split second it grows really muscly arms and slaps you, and then flies away.
Yeah. It just fucking bitch slaps you with like fucking eat some spinach. Gives you a right old fucking right hook, and then just like goes back to its life.
Now I'm a jerk and everybody loves me. That's what the bundle needs. It needs anchor arms. Think of it arms. Have you seen like the Caco demon from Doom? You know, the flying like orb one. It's just an eye.
Yeah.
It has arms. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the iconic one, right?
They're pretty iconic. It's just a floating eyeball basically, but it's got arms. Basically, that's what I want the bundle to be. They don't slap you though. Actually, that's actually interesting. The demon one, because you have this evolved variant, where it's like a very high armored Caco demon. It's got horns. Can we give horns to the bundle? Either way. So that was about the breakpoints of Jet Fuel Homebrew. God damn it! I need a piss.
You could go for so long on streams, but the podcast.
We could be done if we wanted to be.
Well,
I don't want to.
We've done what, 3 now? How many are there?
Well, there's more left. There's 5 more.
All right, yeah, no, we can do it all.
Yeah, probably. We'll see.
If so, we'll just have to cut off some of our rants.
Oh no, there'll be more.
Tangents.
Oh no, there'll be more for next time. No. Anyway, I'm going to the toilet. Sorry. Oh, this fucking. Oh, God. Oh. 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 Hello? Oh, you are here. Probably shouldn't be recording this. Fucking cold,
Mr. Comment Man over here.
Cold. And I'm sweating. And my feet are cold. And my feet are sweating. And I'm crying. It's not crying, it's sweat.
Your eyes are sweating.
Yeah, I'm sweating from my eyes.
Ooh, I don't recommend that.
Yeah, what?
I sweat from my eyes a lot when bad things occur.
Yeah.
So I think it's the sweating from my eyes that makes the bad things occur.
Yeah,
so don't be doing that. Doing it again. Come on now.
Anyway, oh look who's next. So this is actually 2-in-1. It's actually not. It's not 2-in-1. This is from the Dev Q&A review January 2023, which I think is not the big one. I think the big one was December. Either way, Jason Wolf 1495 says, if you want to teach Greenbeards to not call the drop pod, have mission control tell them sweep the cave for all other resources, check with your team, then call the drop pod. Right now, it tells him to do it immediately. So this is in relation to, obviously, Greenbeards immediately calling the drop pod. Not that the host never does that. Some hosts do immediately call the drop pod, but I assume it's not really Greenbeards anyway. It's actually just the idea of anyone who isn't the host doing it. But
no one's taught restraint is, I think, the point.
Yeah,
that we made, I know for sure. And he reinforced that, I'm pretty sure.
It's a very deliberate unification of the voice lines in the game. As in, everyone's going to hear the same voice lines from the dwarves. Everyone's going to hear the same voice lines from mission control. They wouldn't make it so that people who aren't the host, because that's how you'd have to do it. You couldn't literally do it just because they're a low-level player. You can't have it so that the people who aren't host get told a different voice line, which is that they have to sweep the cave. It should be...
Well, it's
really,
I think
the best. It might not be like this. Actually, might not be. This might not be easy to do. But the actual best way it would be is if he always mentioned the fact that there could be other things in the cave in the message that you're leaving, that you should leave. Like, oh, but make sure to check for other things, or who knows what else could be down there, or things like that. That everyone hears, and it's just a generalized message.
Yeah, because like you can see what he says in the comment is you know, when you complete the mission, he's like, press the button, do it. He's like, go on, press the button.
Like when ready, but he always says press the button when ready.
Yeah, but when ready is, you know, I think that's what they need to follow it up on. Like it's and yeah, it'll be like, I don't know, like it'll be like after press the button when you're ready. But remember, always like, you know, check the whole cave for you know, some other stuff, or like, I don't know, always check the cave for more goodies, and there could be a variant. Always, you know, check with your teammates, stuff like that. Like just slight reminders.
Be sure to check your teammates first.
Yeah, and it's the same thing in the tutorial. It should say it, like then, because like, you're absorbing information hard in the tutorial, right? And that can be specific for Greenbeards. I mean, it's
cool
a bit late now.
Co-op tutorial.
Yeah, I think it wouldn't be a bad shout, but yeah, at the end, it's like you can press the button now and leave. But remember, when you're playing with others, they may want to continue down further, and you may want to for like, here's so and so, like more refined, obviously. But like in the tutorial, you have the time and liberty to tell them that, like as in voice acting that. Not to mention tips. Once again, I think a tips would be a very easy way to get that occurring. Once the mission ends, a tip for which would occur naturally to anyone that with tips on, which would definitely be Greenbeards.
To do in the cave outside of your main objectives.
Yeah, like remember, if you're and I'll show how specific tips can be. But if tips can be occurring, like it would only give you a tip on multiplayer. It could be like, and like because if tips are incredibly specific, like they can really whittle it down. Like if you are the host, and you know your mission's complete, the tip can be like, you know. Like that tip can be more guiding. Like if you're a host, or like, I don't know, so it's just like, you know, check the cave, and then, you know, check with your team. But it's like, you know, like if you're not the host, it can be like, you know, check with your host, like don't press the button or something like that. Basically, tips, if they can get specific, they can be specific and give you specific advice for that situation. Like, you know, careful, don't be fucking around here, or you'll get like kicked like immediately after the pod's done, because at that point it's too late, or you might get team kill, press the button. Point is, There are a lot of solutions to this, none of which requires you forcing people to vote, which is, I think, what we talked about then and what spurred this comment. And
so
yeah,
I think the voting thing, I still don't quite see what's wrong with that.
Well, it's if someone doesn't vote, what happens now?
Oh, well, it would need to be a majority. If it was a majority, but still.
Yeah, but what if the host wants to go but no one else does? What's the solution there? The host would kick all of them. If the host's in the wrong, he would have to kick all of them still.
There could be a host approval, basically. That might work. Where it's literally just like just a thing comes up where it's just like.
Still though, if the host has no idea what they're doing.
Yeah, but you can't do much about that.
What it is it still it doesn't spur growth. It just like forces cooperation, but it won't be particularly good. Like it's not a valid solution. People will, like trolls, and I say trolls to put them lightly, will still fuck around with that, right? Like they will join people's games and they'll just like not accept it and see how long they can fucking waste their time or some shit, or some other bullshit. I don't know. Point is, they tried it, right? I think Ghost Ship did say that they tried a voting system and it didn't work. And I don't think it means mechanically. I think they mean literally. Like it just didn't make sense.
It worked. So yeah, drop
it.
There are ways to address this.
Yeah,
I think the actual solution is too not grand for them to like pick up on. You know, it needs to be like an obviously big problem with an obvious big solution. And to really pick up on it. But it's actually it's common, but it's not like it's a conditional problem. It's not constant, and it's also the solution that they've tried a solution, it didn't work for them. That's kind of like, well, we can't really do anything there. Yeah. And it's also I would argue is a solution where like there's a very strong argument for like they don't really need to come back to it. It's not. I don't know. It's just not that important.
It is, though.
But it is.
It is important enough to warrant the simple solution, because the solution is currently to that issue is those greenbeards need to be informed by the other players. They either need to go on the Reddit, go on the Discord, or be talked to in the game, in the chat. They need to be told, cut that shit out. Manually, right?
It's a pretty unanimous desire.
Educate them.
It's a pretty unanimous desire for anyone who either doesn't know, anyone who isn't in the category of either doesn't know or doesn't care about what else could be in the caves. But everyone else is a pretty unanimous desire to check the caves, and it's also far from unofficial because it's obviously encouraged by the fact that there can be other things in the cave, and by the fact that, especially in something like a mining expedition, in fact, this is primarily where it's the problem, I reckon. It's simply that there's more to it, which...
It would be like, I imagine that happens quite often. There's the extra room at the end that you don't always need, and people would just press the button and not go there, even though that is actually the richest room, right?
Yeah.
Like, that is a thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, there is absolutely... First of all, the in-game precedent, I would argue, isn't official, but it's still arguable. As in, it's not like those things were done to... the only reason it's not official because it doesn't tell you that you should check the caves. And that's the only step that's missing. Because apart from that, it's a pretty unanimous, agreed upon thing to do, and it's also encouraged by what's present in the game. Therefore, there is more than enough reason to implement a tooltip, at least, that tells people about the very concept of checking the caves.
Yeah. Or checking with your teammates before pressing the button. Those two things. Because those two things, I don't think whenever anyone's being confronted on it online, I don't think they've ever been like, nah, fuck it, I'm still gonna, I mean, some might, but ignorance of just not knowing that will be removed. From then on out, it's gonna be basically just malice, right?
We can weed out the true evil.
Yeah, literally. Like if the game consistently reminds players, like reminds everyone, not just Greenbeards, and I wouldn't say it gets annoying considering the amount of times that mission control repeats anything, really. Is yeah, he just like they just add tack on to most of his like final voice lines. Is remember, check with your teammates before you press the button, or remember, the cave could have more in store for you, stuff like that. Or remember, you may have found something in the cave further back that you didn't like interact with or something. That would be a pretty common one in the Omeron one, right? That would be a pretty good shout. Like maybe you might want to go back and do something you missed. Stuff like that. Just constant reminders like that. Tips, bare minimum, but also, I would imagine, those two things will completely remove Greenbeard negligence in not being informed to be considerate. Obviously, they're still kind of a dick for doing it anyway, but, you know, people are like that. That's not really on them. But yeah, it will remove it. It will basically be, you know, it will only be from then on out people deciding, nah, fuck you. That will be the only people left doing it. And at that point, that's the best you can do, really. So, yeah, it's a very, very simple addition, and it's why, once again, it's just Ghost Ship overcomplicates everything too much. Which is sad.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. It's just like, there's only one solution. It's the voting system, and it doesn't work.
So therefore, there's no solution.
Nah, son. Anyway, yeah, that's that. Thanks, Jason.
Yeah.
So on the same video, which is once again Dev Q&A January 2023, we got the great prophet Inbox 94 HP 81. What name? He has a suggestion, which is an Iron Man suit. Iron Man suit. Man. We don't want to get copyright struck. I'm gonna read this in that. I wanted to read it in the tune. What about an Iron Man suit for Gunner and Driller, and an exoskeleton suit for NG and Scout? This could replace the primary and secondary, and it can buff the pickaxe and give a bigger amount of equipment. And you would need to call it from the space rig. You could have like 3 of them for the stats. I don't know, XD. So this is an example of why children shouldn't be allowed on YouTube comments.
I refuse to shit on him too hard.
I'm not going
to. I will shit on him a reasonable amount. In that, I feel like you need to understand. And I don't think you need to understand.
Well, I want to point out, whatever you're about to say, you can say whatever you're about to say, but I didn't actually pick this comment to shit on it. I've got something else to say about it, but you go ahead.
But it like, just be aware that is ridiculous. Like, that's all I ask. Like, what you just came up with there has an infinity to 1 chance of occurring and being reasonable of a thing to have in Deep Rock. And I think as long as you know that, do what you want, right? But like I don't know, just yeah. But yeah, and it is kind of a thing that, I mean, Harry said it jokingly, but it does make you seem childish, and whether or not you're a child, that's up to you and your age, I imagine. But but
I guess it's because, like, I guess I say that because someone who is possibly more sensible, they might have these ideas, but they might also be self-aware enough to understand, well,
yeah,
it's someone who knows the game quite well, or especially knows the development cycle quite well, would understand a lot of reasons why this is an extremely unrealistic suggestion. But a self-aware person would still be able to think of this and then think, well, hold on, I don't actually... And, you know, this is someone who's like new to the game, but they're also just a sensible person in general. They might think, I don't actually know that much about this game. This is inherently quite an intense suggestion. Maybe I'll just keep it to myself. Anyway, the point is, if you're listening, I should just say we're not going to go through every reason why it's really unlikely. And there's nothing wrong with suggesting whatever you want. but we are just going to tell you that it's a ridiculous and unlikely suggestion, and you just need to accept that. But I do want to talk about. He mentioned the last thing that he says about it is that you would need to call it from the space rig, as in I just want to take that on its own. And basically, I don't think it was ever in game at any point. But key art basically used to display Driller as being in like a big like mech suit, like a Driller mech suit, right? And I just generally like the idea of a direction they could go with equipment in the future. Not actually art equipment, as in what you have in this like in your equipment terminal, but like things that you could use in missions. The need for a mech could come up at some point, and it would be a stationary, as it'd be a static piece of equipment, right? But the general idea of being able to pilot something, pretty neat. I mean, a lot of people wish they had more control over Doretta. The idea of merely just a combat mech, I guess the reason why I don't like the idea of a combat mech as much is because it's just like, it would only ever be a static piece of equipment, as in you wouldn't be able to customize it, because it's just, unless they really went hard into it, it's just a completely new feature. But if it was more like just a drop that you needed for a specific activity, like you needed it to fight something, I'd be like, actually, that's not that interesting if you have to fight it with just this one bit of equipment. So I love the idea of a mech. I love the idea of pilotable. I love the idea of vehicles, but it's a difficult thing to approach.
I think I feel like with the idea of this wild, to try and justify it, you kind of have to lean into it.
I almost agree with that, actually.
Scenario that I'm picturing, and maybe you are, is like the final hurrah of Ghost Ship on Deep Rock. Is what I'm thinking. It would take a situation like, this is it, this is the end, here we go, kind of mindset to allow this kind of scenario. And I'm picturing that. I am picturing a deep dive of 5 missions long, where those like missions have like a special mineral that like you have to like collect through them, and then by the end you'll have enough to like summon, like after like 5 fucking missions, or this will be the 5th mission, to summon your like I don't know, it's like a giant fucking pod, and it will have like the suit of your dwarf, right? It's like a drill mech for Driller, and like I don't know, like a fucking turret mech for engineer. Like it'd have turrets on his arms or some shit. It would
literally be like, you would base it off of. She would base it off of the armor rig names, but all the mechs would be based on the characters.
It would be like Power Rangers mech transformation, basically, and it would just be Power Fantasy.
Gunner would have like a tank head.
Yeah. Gunner would be like Gunner would become the Thunderhead minigun combination, right? He'd become his guns combined, and like Scout, I don't know, Scout would be like a Shinobi type one, like in like fucking what's his name, like Ronin from I was about to say Attack on Titan, and fucking hell, you know what I mean, from Titanfall, like that kind of thing.
Well, I mean,
like
you could
more
easily
take still deadly type mech.
You could look at the Titans and just from Titanfall and like just easily. Like, first of all, Titanfall is also another great treasure trove of weapon ideas and whatnot, and they've already got quite a few things that I think are quite reminiscent of it. But there's like, you have Titans like Scorch. First of all, Scorch has like a fireball launch. He doesn't have a flamethrower. He's got a fireball launcher, and one of his utilities is like it's an incendiary trap. It's actually just a gas canister that you ignite. So I'm just like, oh, okay, hold on a second, Ghost Ship. I'm not.
Yeah.
I think you might be in trouble here. And so yeah, you got that. You got obviously Legion, which is just he's just a big bastard with a minigun. That's cool. That's a cool idea. I like, because Legion has like his offensive ability in Titanfall 2 is a gun shield, and it's just a shield that goes on the gun. And I just kind of like, maybe a minigun overclock where it has a shield on it, but then obviously that's only on your front, obviously.
It is. Honestly, you and we, I'm sure you would be a lot more upfront than I would, but I'll be down. We could literally, like, this is really a different series. Pick a game and steal as much as we can from it for Deep Rock.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, so obviously, I guess Scout would have to be. No, Scout would be North Star, because North Star is the only Titan with a sniper, and it charges up.
Yeah, but Ronin's got a boomstick, doesn't he?
No, well, it's like a triple barrel shotgun or something.
I guess, but that's just a step up from the boomstick, then, really, isn't it? Like, yes. So he's got the boomstick normal form, triple barrel boomsticks tag form. But it's more Ronin's pretty quick paced, isn't he? I know the other guy can fly, but
exactly, it's like hovers.
Maybe a mix of both. Let's say.
And then I was thinking, because of engineers, it's like, that's a little bit difficult. But then I thought, hold on, because you've got Ion, and the only reason I bring up Ion is because
one can be upgraded.
No, that's Monarch. But the only reason I bring up Ion is because it has one of its utilities, like a laser fence.
Yeah. Basically,
obviously, engineer doesn't have, but he might.
Basically, yeah. Though you would get these things which will go anywhere from these, the Titans from that. I don't know. Are they called Titans? Is that the point? Wait, Titans.
What? The mechs in Titanfall were called Titans.
Okay, yeah, Titans. I forgot what they were called. Like the game name again. Down to Iron Man suits, like somewhere around there, preferably maybe in the middle, maybe bigger. And then you would fight. Let's go with the Dreadnought Queen, just for the shits and giggles of it, right? Or the visual representation, like the core of Hoxie's. Let's go, something like that. Basically, and we're talking giant fucking boss, a fuck it type tier, you know the entire area of the map, basically. It will be that is one room, essentially, and it's just a battle fantasy situation where you're just fighting a gigantic fucking glyphid, with fucking gigamechs, and at that point, that's where the game ends. That's the kind of situation which I think I could allow power suits for the dwarves. Just fuck it, this is it kind of situation.
Yeah, it would literally be a final season. It's this is the finale, so we're doing something nuts.
Yeah, and they would spend fuck it, I don't know, it'll be a year or two of just the final season, just to be a gigantic farewell to the game, with a grand giga deep dive, with every feature that they amped up, and it would be just this whole thing, and they'd leave the game with a fucking, I don't know, a giga quest at the end or some shit. I don't know. That's the kind of thing that I think, because I don't know, yeah, that much is what I would bring to giving the dwarves power suits. I think anything less will feel a bit anticlimactic.
I actually agree with that on the power suit thing, I guess. I do like the idea, though, of equipment, or just sort of Deep Rock DLG hardware that the dwarves can actually take control of, and any of them can use. I guess the idea of basically, the simplest form of that would literally just be a mounted turret on Doretta that any of them could operate if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Things like that is just stuff I'd like to see. And I think when we were probably playing Terraria, it's the idea of just a drill mount being something that they could operate. But that might be a bit too extreme. I like the idea of machinery that you actually control.
I've always been a pretty big fan of defending a castle in Deep Rock. Some sort of stationary base that it would have mounted ballistas and turrets on that you would hop on and gun shit down.
It would have to be some kind of auto miner, basically. That's drilling or fracking, and then that's because that's what you have to defend. It would have to be something.
Yeah. In the core, it would be that, but more it's like Doretta, but stationary, and it's literally it's like the Armor and Hearthstone fight, just the entire thing essentially. Except instead of attacking something, you're defending it, and so a horde of fucking glyphids would come from all different angles, and the numbers would be able to be probably Doretta moving levels of shit tons, due to I don't know, basically some shit like that. I think I'm fond of more a getting on a turret kind of thing. Something where the point is that it's fairly stationary, and something like that. Although even then, that game mode isn't something I'd want in the game technically. I think honestly, chances are that's quite likely. They really recently been liking just stationary boss fights. And staying in the same room for a while.
Yeah, but I think it would be different
really
if,
mattering.
I think it would be different if you are the stationary boss in this
Yeah,
scenario.
it would be very different, and yeah, but and like how hard they lean into it, like it could be like I was thinking, there'd be like 3 walls, 3 layers of defense, which you could like you literally it would be like an actual fucking like fight, like fucking like Lord of the Rings. Like, you would like lose a wall to the Glyphids and you'd have to like retreat back to like a new set of defenses.
God, man.
Like shit like that. I think that would be fucking badass. And I honestly could see them doing it. I don't want it, and it's more unreasonable.
The reason I can see them doing it is because
but,
wave defense is still a regularly suggested idea, or any kind of endless mode, or any kind of endless mode or wave defense. Some people do suggest tower defense, and
plus,
all it takes is for them to want to do it, and you would have them going nuts with it, because that's just what they do now. So it would just take for them to decide to do it. You would get something not too far off what you're suggesting.
Yeah, and Escort Duty really isn't far off, to the point where it's almost too similar, but I still think it's pretty distinct. You have been tasked to protect something before. They are not above stationary-based targets like point extraction and ore refinery, right? It would be in that kind of generation. But like, yeah, I don't know. It'd be like if you're the caretaker and the hordes of Glyphids are like attacking you, right? And you're having to protect it. It would be something like that, which I think would be a pretty cool flipping of the tables. But I don't know, man.
You are the caretaker today.
Yeah, it's something that I think would fit in, but I wouldn't say is what the game needs the most right now. I don't know what game mode the game needs, but I think it needs simpler things than a something like that. Then again, wave defense can be fairly simple. But once again, though, being stationary isn't fun. That's the issue with like basically all of them. like the fucking caretaker with the fucking escort duty. You find yourself just sitting there for most of it, right? Like when you're hacking the fucking things, you're sitting there. When you're fighting the caretaker, hell, if you're using fucking Reverend strat, you're sitting there.
Don't do that.
And even then, and even if you're not sitting there, you're still in that room the whole time. You're not expanding out. Meanwhile, we go back to aircon's still mainly only one room, but like it's branching out isn't really a thing. Like it's just I don't know. So I want more something like that than something like a stationary wave defense. But I wouldn't hate a stationary wave defense down the line. If it's some grand castle defense with like mountable turrets and walls that can collapse and change the flow of the battle and stuff like that. Like if they go hard in the fantasy of it, which they don't like doing. In fact, I think we got literally. I think that was something when we were talking to the dev on one of the streams. I think I was like, "Hey, can we get more fantasy?" And he was like, "Nah, it's a sci-fi game." Well, that was just a dev stream. But yeah, it's
a dev stream.
A more fantasy castle defense is not something we could expect to see in Deep Rock, but I think it would be cool if we did. I don't remember where we started from.
We started. Well, the point. It's not. This isn't too bad because we started on something pretty wild.
Oh, the Iron Man suits, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think yeah.
You think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Thanks. It's great.
You couldn't insert that into a normal mission, right? Obviously, but if it was like one of the main gimmicks of a new game mode, it's pretty feasible, right? Like,
did you just say feasible? Did you just combine feasible with reasonable?
Yeah.
Feasible. That should absolutely be a word.
It is. I just said it.
It's not in the dictionary though, is it? Go get dictionary and write it in.
I don't own a dictionary.
The fuck do you mean? You're saying there's not a dictionary in your house?
No.
I'm actually surprised considering your.
We don't own a bookshelf. Actually, we do own one, but it's in Mitchell's room and it's collapsed.
Your mum doesn't read, does she? Doesn't do anything good. Anyway, I'm going to.
She's actually reading. She's reading a book on menopause, and she wants us to read it later.
Oh God, everyone's doing that
it.
now. It's all the buzz. Anyway, okay. So the next 2 comments are actually on the tier list. I'm going to ignore those because we're going to be talking a lot about that on Saturday.
That's true.
Well,
yeah.
we're going to talk about that on Saturday. That video will come out the next day because it still feels weird that the 3rd part isn't out yet.
Yeah,
it feels like it is, but it's not. Because actually the video we talk about everything will be on Sunday. I don't know if it will come out on Sunday, I should say, but I don't know if we'll talk about any of the YouTube comments. But still, it's just we're going to be talking a lot about that, and we've gone quite a while. And I think there's 2 comments after that. There's 2 more comments if we ignore the tier list stuff, and that'll bring us to a pretty nice time to end it. So this is from the Overclock Workshop on the satchel charge. Pretty interesting. Did you watch that video?
No.
But you might still be familiar with this concept. So, this is from Haunt Charge. Actually, both of these are. Haunt Charge 3501, our guy. Good, concise video. Thanks, buddy. It said, the Kamikaze Overclock could be useful in solo if Bosco would be willing to strap himself with the C4 and charge into the Horde. So, it's actually a double barrel comment as well. But basically, there's an idea where you would be able to stick the satchel charge to entities.
Right.
That was what a big idea of mine, right?
Would it fear them?
Yes.
Right.
So you could stick it to your friends though as well. You could and Bosco and enemies, and it would make the enemies run backwards as well. And that was, I want to give you some credit. This idea was, the genesis of it was the Trojan Grunt.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And basically, that series has turned into me just sort of making suggestions, because I think there's a lot of they could still do with the support tools and traversal tools even if they don't add overclocks. Merely by the fact that you have more upgrade tiers that you could add, technically. So it's just I might as well just make these suggestions. And something like the satchel charge, I think its existence is only justified through the sheer ridiculousness of it just being a massive fucking explosion. So I'd like to just see it get sillier, and something like being able to just stick it to enemies and to your teammates even, if you wanted to, or yourself. I said in the video, you can throw it up in the air and it lands on you. It's stuck to you.
So is this a clean? Is it that's all it does?
It was a balanced. I think all it did though was it made it it reduced the unbreaking, but it also I came up with a penalty that was obviously, you know, the way I ended up asking for it, I always end up, basically what I do now, I just turn the idea into what it could be as if it was a mod. But I came up with a penalty for it was, it will kill dwarves anywhere in the radius 100% of the time. 100%.
Well, the issue is because I was thinking about this, and my issue with killing dwarves with satchel charges, and not that that's a thing, it's my issue in doing so, is that they often manage to run away. And if I literally just
you can stick it to them,
walk up to them, pop a satchel on their shoulder, and they run away thinking I've dropped it on the floor, yet it's actually attached to their shoulder, so they've now run away, it's still on them, me not there, will just detonate them where they are. It will essentially make killing people with your teammates a lot easier, even without that.
So, yeah, it was somewhat inspired by the idea of killing your friends, and that actually started as a completely different idea. It started off as I can't remember what it was called, actually. I can't remember what it was called, but basically what it did, it was ridiculous. It made it so that enemies killed in a satchel charge explosion that also kills a teammate, those enemy kills would give you health. That's what the original idea was. I can't remember what it was called, but yeah.
Selfless sacrifice, so it should be called.
Either way, I mean, I know, you know, sticky grenades, but as in, I actually kind of like that aspect of sticky grenades, and it would really suit something that you can remotely detonate, I think.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool. So,
because the fear thing, like I don't know. I feel like maybe, obviously, I'm not sure how much I want to like develop this idea, but like maybe it should be the thing that like it won't deal any damage to the thing it's stuck to, right?
Like, defensive, puts a shield around them.
Yeah, like they'll just completely
that would
immune.
Be overpowered but it wouldn't be if you made it a completely teammate focused thing. Where it's like,
exactly, it'll be really good to put in your teammates then, while also putting it on an enemy would be quite bad, especially if you put it on like a fucking oppressor, thinking, haha, I'm going to kill you now, and then it doesn't do any damage to it. You know what I mean? Like,
oh my god, okay, sure.
I don't know. It's a good, obviously, it's a pretty goofy ass fucking idea, but I don't know.
Well,
if you want a kamikaze,
that is, but the reason why it isn't ridiculous.
Now.
It isn't ridiculous because the sticky grenades have it. We're just putting it on something else, and it's just the idea. I do think that suits something that you can promote. You can.
I think it's weird that it doesn't anyway. So I do agree with that.
That's what you do with it, except the only difference is you can't stick it to enemies.
I think this would be an actual really good thing. I don't think if this book is a mod, which obviously I would prefer it to be, I don't think it should be a tier 5. I think it should be an alternate to being able to pick it back up.
Darling, that's like what I turned all of them into. It's like, we can put it in the same tier as Kill Switch.
Yeah, like you can either pick it back up, or it like literally it's just adheres. Like it literally, you cannot take it off like a thing. Like if it's a living entity, it's just become one with it at that point.
What the fuck?
Yeah, because you wouldn't be able to pick it back up off them.
I guess
right?
in that same vein is it wouldn't be a bad direction to go with a satchel charge of just making it like basically not an omni grenade, but like a grenade that you can turn into any of the given basic grenades, where it's like where you could turn it into a sticky grenade if you wanted to, or you could even add proximity detonation to it.
Yeah, and because this is actually something, because I've been doing the Driller guide video, and I've come to terms with the fact that I actually can stand the satchel charge.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly, at this point in time, I'm fine with it being his tactical, but I will not deny, his utility, but I will not deny the fact that I still use the satchel charges in the exact same times I would be using a grenade. Right?
Well, see, but that's okay, so this is actually sort of a renewed or a new sort of outlook that I literally just picked up just in these last 10 seconds. It's not... I still have things I would... I guess there's probably still preferred ways I would have the satchel charge to be, or it's like, as in preferred alternatives even. But as it is, I've just picked up on this. I think my view of it now is... My view of it as it is that its point is to basically be a grenade that you can upgrade. And therefore, it's a grenade that you can turn into different grenades. I basically, this would lead into a further idea where I would want it to invalidate the HEs entirely, and they would have to come up with something else. I want that because I want them to go hard into the idea of the satchel charge being a grenade that you can customize. I want to go harder into that. In fact, don't even have any mod related to mining. It should be a pure combat tool, and you can turn it into a cluster grenade. You can turn it into a proximity mine if you want to do all that shit. That's what I think it should be. And it takes that slot because Driller's other grenades aren't like that. All of the things that you could turn the satchel charge into are drawn from other classes' grenades. And that's what makes it stand out on Driller and actually be a useful part of his kit. So, I think I'm onto something.
I do not agree with you, but I do agree with you. That's not in any way, shape, or form what I would want the satchel charge to become, because that is still running up against the same issue of those things, in that isn't what Driller needs. Driller, the reason why HEs are not picked most of the time, I mean, well, they're actually kind of picked now, but
it's what Driller needs in concept. In concept, not in terms of actual function, is just a standard explosive munitions. And having two of those, one of them you can customize, one of them you can't. It's stupid.
Driller doesn't need that.
No, I said he does. I don't think he needs it at all.
No, he doesn't.
People like having that, and that's why it stays around. It's a neat concept, and it's like it wouldn't feel missing necessarily, but it's a welcome part of his kit to have explosive munitions, whereas you don't get that from any of his weapons necessarily. And that's why people like it, because it functions like a very standard high-powered grenade, and which is why I still think the HE is invalid in its existence. Because I've realised that I personally just want to go hard into that idea for the satchel charge, therefore they could make it, because that's already what it is. But if they went harder into it, they could actually make that feel like more than just an attractive concept and actually make it useful. I think they could somehow make that good by going hard into it. It doesn't make much sense, but I think they could do it. That's pretty cool, baby.
Yeah, I don't know. Satchel charge, my opinion of it has toned down, but I think if only because I've lost hope. It's just, I don't know. Like, it's still just a fact that the satchel charge doesn't provide anything that the driller needs or wants. And comparing it to the shield generator or the turrets or hell, even the flare gun, it just is a pitiful piece of equipment in its uselessness to the character it's on. But I've grown to accept that instead of fighting it anymore. But if they added an alternate tool,
good with the drills, so as far as I'm concerned, you can shut up.
You what?
What, you got it so good with the drills?
You've got fucking platforms, mate. Shut up. You got the only other fucking tool that could compete with the drills, as far as I'm concerned.
I don't think it does. I think the drills are easily. It's like way better than any other traversal tool.
Well, the platforms just do something the drills can't, and no one else's can. Like, adding terrain is an unfathomable thing to have ability to do.
When you think about it, the drills are easily the least unique traversal tool.
When you think about it, Driller is not unique. I'm really breaking it down. Driller isn't particularly.
That was really sinister.
like
when you really think about it.
Yeah, Scout's really good at high value. Gunner is really good at single target. Engineer is really good at crowd. Driller is middling. I mean, obviously, no, he's very good at crowd. Only in his primaries.
Driller is whatever the simplified term for elemental brawler is.
But no, that's not really. That's just like how you play him, but that's not really what. But he's a little bit of everything, generally.
I view him as,
and his drills is essentially that as well.
I view him as like a very, very arguable peak of both crowd control and crowd clearing at close range.
Yeah, but those are his primaries. His secondaries are actually, and I realized this recently, they are Scout's territory. They're high value target picking. They are, well, Sabata definitely is, and is supposed to be, right? But because it fills the niche of things that escape the primaries range, and or are dangerous and need to be taken out now before the status effect kicks in, which very coincidentally often crosses over to high value targets, and that's what your secondaries are for. Like your menaces, your wave spitter scissors, your tri-Georgiazors, yeah, those ones is what you would use your secondaries for, especially Zabata, somewhat EPC, Wave Cooker, maybe a bit less, but it's still possible because the long rangeness of it. But the point is, and that is what I noticed, which I find pretty cool, because his secondary is a single target, his primaries are crowd, and I don't know, he's just kind of hard to place in amongst them all.
But I wouldn't say that makes. Hold on, what was the original point? That he's not that. He's not what?
I don't know. He's just kind of like, he's not a little bit of everything. He's like a medium to high amount of everything.
Yeah, it's not bad though, is it?
No, it's not. That's my point. I think in the end is what I'm trying to figure out is that the fact that I can fucking do anything really, and the drills is especially that. Quick, universal terrain, like terraforming for your entire team. you could take apart each of those things, and that's someone else's entire gimmick on their thing.
Well, okay, so the next thing that Hornet charged was in the same comment. So I think one of them it was the nuclear one, where it had a timer, which I thought was pretty funny. It is a countdown. I mean, the only thing it added was just fallout, but he said the 5-second timer or delay for the explosion could be a downside with the reward of a more damaging blast. Something like takes more time to charge up the detonation to its max damage. Well, I want to just not ignore that, but I want to immediately spin it off into some better ideas, which is possibly the idea of. I like the idea of being able to place more than one satchel at a time. I don't know if you do. And then either detonate them in sequence or detonate them simultaneously.
It would be complicated for them to change that into that.
Something I really like. I like this idea, but I know that the only way its actual usefulness would be revealed is if we got to use it, and that means its inherent usefulness doesn't exist. That's what that means, basically. As in, this won't seem very useful. But the idea of being able to set timers on your satchel charges, like manually, sounds like something. I don't know. I think people would like to do that with dreadnoughts, like the dreadnought cocoons. Maybe that's it. But
I don't know. I mean, there is something inherently cool about
if you being able to place multiple, you definitely use that for the caretaker.
Yeah, but if you had like 4 satchels lined up in a like that would just look cool.
Yeah.
But in finish, you could do with multiple drillers. Which
the thing is, I like the idea of the timer being like, you know how old microwaves use a dial. I like it being like a dial that because it's not. I don't know how you would set the timer, because either it would be like an upgrade that when you put it on, then it comes up with like the keyboard, and then you put in the timers. But that would be like then you would have no control over it in mission. It would actually be but you also wouldn't want to have to type something out in mission, so it would actually just be a dial that you like. I don't know, you set before you throw it out.
It's like flicking through alternate. Firing mode,
it would be like
5, 15, 30.
You'd basically have to cook it, I think, in a way, and the die would just go up, and then you throw it out at whatever time you want. It could be up to.
It'd be quite a pain in the arse, though.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And it's never really going to be useful.
That would be quite an extreme change, because that's how you would allow for multiple to be thrown out at the same time, because you wouldn't be able to detonate them remotely. It would just go off whenever the timer goes. And therefore, you wouldn't have to use a detonator, so you could throw more out. Either way, there might be something there. I don't know. Because like I said, I like the idea of set timers, but I don't know what you would use it for. So, penis. You could put them on like you have multiple. You could just put them where the beamers are going to show up on escort duty.
Cool, you use your fucking satchels liberally, don't you?
No. What?
Yeah.
You attach them to the letter.
Well, you can throw it under it and detonate it on it. That'll do. Alright, what's the final comment then?
This actually is from the last podcast. I assumed it was a news video because it says 2022 stats and anniversary leaks. This is from podcast number 36. This is from what the fuck is that?
Oh, right. That makes sense. I was scratching something off the mic.
And you thought, it's not going to make any noise. I'm not talking.
I didn't think about that at all.
Just punch my mic. I don't know what that sounds like. I don't know.
It sounded like you punching your mic.
What does that sound like?
Except with more probably metal sounds, because my one's freehand. You've got boom arm.
Well, it's not metal though. It's got the foam thing on it.
Yeah, but you can hear the metal in the arm move.
I don't hear it.
Yeah. Well, okay. What's the final comment?
This is also from Haunt Charged 2501. It's some referencing 1234, something to do with Obama and Walter Jr. That's not important. I've thought a lot about what's discussed about assignments, but struggled to come up with a solution. I look forward to seeing if Ghost Ship addresses them. Assignments keep players engaged and are closely linked with the progression system. I wonder how things would be different if assignments were completely removed from the game. I imagine a sort of progression track could replace it, with set rewards at given intervals. Promotion assignments could be completely gutted too, with promotions still coming at every 25 red number. So that's some interesting food.
It's a very interesting food for thought, isn't it?
The timeline where there aren't assignments.
Because yeah, I mean he's right. Assignments aren't essential to the game. No, right. They aren't essential.
They are.
They wouldn't have. They're not. He's right. If you removed them, nothing would inherently. Like everything would still be able to work. Like you would be able to find simpler, just like promotions you can just promote instantly. Things as you mentioned, like if you reached a milestone in the blue things, you would just get the reward, right? That kind of thing, right? Promotions aren't needed, but they are.
I think they are because the game needs a way. Obviously, you always have the freedom, but the game needs a way to tell you what to do. It needs a way to pick missions for you. That has to exist in the context of a game like Deep Rock. And say, well, what do you replace that with then? You replace is this progression track that you're suggesting? Would it just act as like a permanent assignment, where there's always one mission that you have to do to like progress in some way? It's just like, well, no,
it's just
you wouldn't. That'd be horrible. That'd be horrible because there'd be no reason to do any other mission apart from the one you're tasked to do.
You're dumb as hell. No, it would literally be you don't ever have any mission assigned to you. You would just play the game, and every blue level that's like where you would have gotten like, hey, you have unlocked I don't know, the fucking pickaxe promotion, where you would have had that, you just get the pickaxe, stuff like that, like immediately. Like you don't at all ever have anything that tells you to do anything. You just play the game, level up.
That's literally why it's an important system.
Yeah, exactly.
It's because it tells you what to do. That's what they're for. That's why the assignment system is so important.
Yeah. And you make it sound bad, to be honest with you, Harry. But I think it's more, it points you in a direction.
I don't think it sounds bad because the reason why I don't think it sounds bad is because the game wouldn't exist without assignments. It was always inherent to this type of game. There was no timeline where the game is the way it is without assignments.
Yeah, otherwise it would
have evolved in a way where it's a type of game that doesn't need assignments, but it evolved to be one that needs assignments because it has assignments in it, and it's not like it was ever going to be without them if it needed them. So it's not. There's no like dark alternate timeline there. You know, it's The game was built around assignments because they were introduced.
Yeah, like Deep Rock is. Assignments are a extremely core part of the game.
Yeah. Do you know what's cool? Do you know what's interesting? Assignments are what I work towards now. Essentially, what I do is I have the incentive to get my classes level 25 because that gives me assignments, which is kind of insane when you think about it. But that might actually be a form of insanity. But either way,
and I mean, if you think about it, like assignments, they're just fucking everything, right? They're like, whenever a new holiday event comes around, assignments, like that kind of thing. Like obviously the content is there, but it's behind an assignment, and it's just, I don't know, it's a very interesting way of like giving you content, like, because if you think about it, compared to other games, it's a dick move, right? Like, this content is here, but you can't get it now. You have to do the missions we tell you to, right? That is what assignments are. But the thing is it completely gets by and it works and is loved because that is the core feeling of Deep Rock, right? In the corporate is picking your missions for you. Those are your jobs. Go do them. That kind of feeling.
It's a pretty big compliment I can pay to it. That it's a game that makes features that you would think be frustrating actually satisfying because they serve like the game feel, which is actually quite impressive. I don't think it's shallow either, in the sense that I don't think the features are literally frustrating and they're just downplayed by like the context. I think they are actually done in a way that is actually satisfying as well. But they're things that would normally not be, I think, for a lot of people. You can include the performance pass in that. I guess people enjoy those, but they're sort of looked down upon, usually because they're always you always have to pay for them, and because the challenges that you have to do for performance passes or active passes always end up being like really specific.
Thing is, wrong, right? Like, you're just wrong. The performance pass challenges are vaguer than your assignment challenges, right?
No, I mean, in other games, there's a common criticism of battle passes is that like the challenges are like usually essential and also quite specific, which you just don't get with Deep Rock at all. And you also have you have scripts, right? Which in the real world, a script is literally like this, basically an emblem of corruption, because it's like company created credits that are used to buy things just from the company. They turned that into their way of giving you freedom over how you unlock things, even in the context of a battle pass. Yeah. So, that's also kind of nuts when you think about it.
Is them like using real world scummy tactics, like scummy,
turning them into like a game,
encouraging
making them work in a game as features in this game, while maintaining the game's image as actually being a game and developer that has a lot of integrity.
Yeah, it's like they're running a thin line between the in-game company exploiting you and getting you to do things it wants, while the real life, Ghost Ship, like using those game systems to encourage you to play the game more in like a still like, well, face value scummy, like scripts and all that value, but like realistically a very kind and like cool way of giving you something.
Yeah, because I think they are riding a thin line, but not in the sense that there's any kind of danger. It's because the thin line is the conceit of the game, in that there is this thin line between like the game's integrity and other more like, I guess, corrupt aspects. Yeah. Where the whole conceit is that it isn't that kind of game. It just uses those mechanics and features or ideas. Yeah. It's never actually going to cross over into like negative territory, because it's literally it's like almost like the pitch of the game is that. Yeah. It's a game that uses things that would actually be viewed as scummy, but turning them into like a very approachable, like friendly game.
And I realize it's actually like, quite interesting in that, like assignments, they really link a lot of parts of the games, right? Like promotions. You need to do assignments to unlock like weapons, has 5 fucking industrial sabotage, stuff like that. Do you need to do assignments to unlock fucking deep dives? I don't think you do, actually, do you?
Deep dives? Well, no, I guess that's your first promotion.
Yeah. Basically, the assignments are really like connected to like all parts of the games. Obviously, the holiday events, the seasons when they added, but they don't. They don't really connect to the season pass though in like any real way, do they? like,
what do you mean? Well, how would they? I should ask.
Like, I don't know, the season pass could. I mean, right? Actually, in saying this, does completing the season promotions give you season pass points? Because I feel like they might.
The season promotions. What?
The season assignments. Do they give you?
Oh. So,
performance points.
That's a bit abstract, I guess, because there's not like there's very many of those. So you mean the assignment, like the Plague Fall assignment?
Yeah.
Yeah. That did. Both of those did. They hadn't done that in season 1 or 2 though.
I would argue that, and this is an idea I'm coming up literally right now, that there should be a new weekly challenge that should be related to that. A new weekly resetting thing, which is for the for the performance pass.
Oh, you're onto something there, son.
Yeah.
Especially because I want. Well, actually, I guess this is going to end up being a bit weird, because I really like to have an assignment that utilizes warnings over mission types, and actually, obviously, that happened with this season. I don't necessarily mean that, because obviously that would mean like, does that mean every season you want a warning? No. I should probably downplay that immediately. But I like this idea. Whatever it is.
This thing would push you to do it often.
Exactly.
This it would have like still 3, I would say. Like, is it 4? 3 or 4?
What? Oh, the
Three,
weekly
right?
ones are free.
Weekly are 3.
Missions.
Yeah. So three for now. Rockpox infestation missions, like Rockpox presence or whatever the fucking thing's called. I don't remember.
Lithophage outbreak. Yeah.
That's the one. Lithophage outbreak. Just 3 of those, and then you would, and those missions would give you, like, let's say 2,000 per, maybe. Like,
I think it
mission.
would just give you 5,000 maybe at the end.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, maybe more something like that.
Because the reason why that would work as well, because the daily challenges, I think the highest is 3,250 or something, or 3,750.
Yeah.
There isn't a 5,000 one. The 5,000, and it almost feels like there should be one, but there could, and that should be the weekly.
And you could arguably throw in a script in there.
Yeah. You could.
It would be a bit awkward for them because scripts are a bit awkward.
Well, Tyler, it would make perfect sense though, because if if we're giving them 5,000, the idea of the assignment is to just directly progress. Well, not directly, because it would be mixed in with the other points you get, but it's exactly one level's worth, and then a script is like a similar thing. But the more you progress, the more scripts you get. So maybe
it would basically be that if you only play once per week, you would like hop on, pick on that assignment, try and figure out how you could do that and the weekly and your dailies at like the same time, and just get like 10 fucking pass in like a day, like just absolutely fucking And I don't know, something like that. Like, while I do not think the season pass needs that kind of thing to help people progress through it, a lot of people generally can. I think there is room for another weekly thing there, and there is room for assignments other than those ones to help you through the path, and like interact with the path in a natural way like that. And
I mean, I guess it would have to give you points.
Plus,
it would feel weird if it didn't, right?
And there would be the element of it in the first of all, you could kind of use it as and it would force you to play with the season stuff more, right? If you want to go through the season pass quicker, you got to engage with the seasonal content, right? That's kind of it's like bartering.
I guess this would introduce a potential argument to. So I don't know. Maybe you'd have to like slightly reduce how much you get normally, like ever so slightly, so that it averages out. So that what's missing you get from the assignment. But that would be really difficult, like maths wise, to do. I think. When it's all made up for by one assignment.
No, I think it's just more. I think it's just more that, like, if you don't play Deep Rock often, when you do, if you play the assignment, you will be able to finish the pass. Like, generally. Like, something like that. I don't know.
So I guess it means that someone who only comes back for the weekly assignments would still have a good shot at finishing the pass.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea at all.
Yeah, and I don't know. Even then, I think it has merit in just doing that anyway. But then, as mentioned, more weekly stuff. I'm sure people will appreciate that, right? More weekly content for them to devour, like more weekly assignments, and I don't know. I think that while I do not think the game needs that, I don't see a reason why they shouldn't. Right?
Why not?
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I think I've said everything I need to say about it, considering I just came up with it. But like,
well done.
I don't know. It's
Very good, sir.
Yeah. I really need to piss, but someone's in the bathroom I can hear. So
well, don't worry, because we're going to wrap up now. Because
I know. But,
that was pretty good. Please leave more comments because.
Yeah, but not too many, considering that took us 2 hours and a half.
Yeah, shit but I just mean literally
like 5.
I don't want to do this as much as possible. I just want to basically always be able to do it. We need to.
Yeah,
because it's worked out very well. And as long as we don't do it all the time, I don't see why every time we do this it wouldn't be just as good. So
yeah. Because I mean, obviously we didn't just talk about the comments this time round, but
it worked in sort of
used the comments as like footstools to like talk about different parts of the game.
What the fuck is a footstool?
It's a stool for short people.
That's just a stool.
Yeah, but it's like for feet.
What?
Stools you sit on.
Are you saying
stools you stand on?
No, that everyone stands on. Wait. Okay, sorry. A footstool isn't just for short people though. It's just for reaching things. It's just for...
Yeah.
Yeah, not
Most commonly
inherent.
used by people that can't reach things easily.
Yeah, but not everyone who can't reach something that's 7 feet off the ground is short.
And if anything, actually, a normal stool is more commonly used by short people to reach higher things. Point is yeah, footstool to talk about whatever you want, really, in like a shorter way. Like, I mean, obviously, as
It's
mentioned,
also,
I think
by the
we're
way, I guess I should point out, if you want
ideas.
Well, if you want us to talk about anything, then you leave it in a comment, and it might be used for this, or it might become a whole podcast potentially, depending what it is. So, or actually, hold on, don't scratch that. If there's anything you want to talk about, say. But I also want people to suggest things anyway. Not just if you want to hear. I'm literally asking for ideas. I'm literally
on his hands and knees.
Actually, it's not that desperate. It's just I don't find most of the ideas.
We're going to be all right for like the next period of time, aren't we?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if you're this far on, you're probably the real ones, I imagine. But yeah, we're very much expecting to be able to talk about the anniversary in some regard next week. Next week after that, we should have the dev stream to talk about.
Oh my God.
And or have been doing it that same day. The week after that, we're going to have, I imagine, a bunch of teasers. I hope so. But
they're doing a pretty good job right now of making it. Even though we know there's like literally it's all going to kick off next week, I know that, but doing a really good job of making it feel like nothing's happening.
Yeah. Even still, like next week, we're going to be able to talk about the dev stream, the anniversary stream, like the anniversary event, and like other stuff like that, like DLC, all that stuff.
What is this? Hold on. When did this get posted? First of all, patch notes. Like 6 minutes ago. That's pretty weird.
What the hell?
Yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do with this. Should we just go through some of this stuff?
Well, they just
there's a schedule for the anniversary.
When?
Just now. Hold on.
Yeah, but when's it scheduled for?
We'll get to that. We're just gonna go through this right now.
All right.
Yes. I guess. Actually, no, we won't. We'll do these patch notes, but we're gonna stop, and then we're gonna do a news video, a shared news video on that instead.
All right.
Because we haven't done that for a while. So this is season 3, patch 13. Misk fixes an anniversary prep. We finally added a toggle option for supporter beers. What the fuck? Whoa! Did you hear that?
Oh my God.
Okay, let's go through. Patch notes. Added a toggle option for supporter beer. You can now choose to serve beers in regular or supporter mugs.
What it says though is that there was actually like a glitch, it looks like.
Fixed the clients for sometimes not able to see holiday assets in Biotank. I've never seen things that shouldn't be in the tanks, by the way. Tweaked deep dive mission probabilities. Okay, whatever. Fixed bug where C4 would cancel fall damage. What?
That is how would you find that bug? Like you try to okay, I'm gonna see if I can prevent my full damage with C4, and then it fucking works. Like what? It's like the guy that found out milk.
Yeah, fixed controller shortcut issue that made it possible to abort unabortable assignments. Huh. Fixed being able to reset the weekly assignments by starting another and then restarting the original assignment. I don't even know what that means. Fixed completing the promotion assignment, changing the completed week seed for the core hunt assignment. Wait, what? It changed it? That means, I guess that's a way of making it more official.
Yeah, although I think it is worth mentioning that, like, I assume they would have been able to fix the promotions resetting your weeklies with this, right? Like that is definitely within the area of stuff they were tackling to fix, and it doesn't look like they have. So that implies something.
Fixed bug where you could delete picked up items by pressing Q on the space rig. Oh, that's great. Tweaked Gunner's Robot Rebellion armor. Left shoulder plate should no longer float. Yeah. When I read Tweaked Gunner's Robot Rebellion armor, I got excited because you know how this has got the sleeve or the arm where it doesn't have it's like doesn't have armor on the bicep area, and I want that. That's why I just had some twinge of hope. Optimized Pathfinder performance. I assume that's pathfinding for everything. I don't know. Optimized some smoke and rockbox particles. Good. Fixed barrel hoop game sounds not playing for clients. Made Bosco able to carry all the in-cave holiday double XP items. So there's your anniversary prep. Changed all barrels in launch bay mission control shout to trigger 100% of the time. That feels like a joke, but I don't think it is. Fixed a bunch of typos and added more breach effects to Hearthstone after final break. Also, I don't know what that means. Whatever. Either way, we've got something to do now, so we're actually something else to do. So we're going to leave you with that. That's some patch notes.
Is there a Steam post to it, or?
Yeah, I told you the schedule.
Oh right, yeah.
Dumbass. Fuck me. They put the toggle in, and it's for both of them, I guess. Well, it must be. It's whatever. That's amazing. All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks for listening to this wonderful thing. Actually, obviously. It's actually good that we didn't start this with like, you said there's going to be more news. Because obviously that news video will be up way before this is up.
Yeah.
So that means you've already probably seen it. So if you enjoyed this, please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell, buddy. Bye, mate.